I
Oh,
know we discussed this a lot, but I actually don't think I've ever asked. Do you care about jerseys when it comes to sports?
not totally. I mean, I'm not as
Yeah.
much. I don't think I'm as much of a critic as a lot of people. I could say that for certain. Because I think like, I mean, I have my opinions, but I just don't know if my opinion is rooted in fact. It's just purely subjective when it comes to jerseys. So I just kind of say, yeah, I like them, or not really, not for me.
I
I
mean,
don't go too deep into it.
yeah, no, I hear you. I don't care a ton, but definitely when let's say like an NFL team is wearing a ugly uniform, I'm like, that's all I can think about. Now, if the football's good, the football's good, and you get over that. I remember the Eagles, God, years ago, they wore like their Delaware uniforms. You remember this? Where they were wearing like baby blue and yellow, and that was like an ode back to like the early Eagles days. And they scored a shit ton of points on the Lions, and everybody was like, "Ooh, they make those uniforms look good." But like, back in the day when they did the color rush stuff on Thursday Night Football,
Yeah.
that stuff was distracting. Um, yeah, I love a good uniform. I hate a bad uniform, but
Yeah.
that's just the simplest way I could put that. But
Right.
also,
Like I don't know, man. I've always I just don't know. I don't like the influx of I can tell you right now, I don't like these alternates. Like I just don't think
yeah,
I really don't think these teams have to ruin a good thing. And I know where you're going to go here because the rivalry jerseys all came out, and everyone has an opinion on them. But I'm also of the belief that each uniform gives the team an identity, and when you're kind of going away from that identity, it just doesn't make much sense to me. Um, Look, man, I know a lot of Niner fans aren't too happy with the all black because I guess it reminds them of those ones that Colin Kaepernick wore at one point when it was like the all black jerseys with the red and the gold helmet. It looked pretty ugly. I'm not mad at these ones at all, but I think a lot of diehard 49er fans who kind of bleed red, they'd rather those things be a shade of red or a shade of white. I'm not mad at the 49ers ones.
I don't think they're terrible, but yeah, it does harken back to the days of opening up the season 10 years ago, and the likes of Sean Drone or running for the 49ers or Carlos
Wow.
Hyde. It does remind me of those days, but the lettering's pretty cool. It's the other ones. Like, let me look through here. The Rams ones are not terrible. Um, a little bit of black on there. The Dolphins ones, not great. But like the people that are up in arms over this shit, like Dan Marino wouldn't wear these. Well, yeah, of course, because that was back in the '90s. Or, like I want my
Well, he would if he was
original,
getting paid.
authentic jerseys. Well, yeah, of
He would if
course. I mean,
he,
at the end of the day, like Jack Youngblood wouldn't wear these Rams uniforms. Well, it's a different time and era, and yes, if the team decides to wear dog shit, the player's going to wear dog shit. They have no say in this matter. You think Aaron Rodgers wants to wear those Bumblebee uniforms against the Packers? Like, that's what we're going to remember is when we look in NFL films history this upcoming season, when Aaron Rodgers plays the Green Bay Packers for the first time, he's going to be wearing some ugly ass uniforms, and that's how we'll remember it. But like, yeah, some of these, let me just look through these and pull them up for you guys. The Rams ones I think are okay. The Dolphins ones to wear black, like everybody wants to wear black now. Basically, that's my way of kind of being, the angry former Raider fan, just being like, oh, everybody just wants to copy the Raiders, huh? I'm wearing black. But black is cool, so I totally get that. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick for everybody. Yeah, so there's the Rams. Looks pretty good. There's Jared Verse. I don't mind those. The Arizona Cardinals ones, I don't know if you saw those, Steven.
yeah,
It just
those are
looked like
bad.
they just got dirt thrown on them. Like here's just a general view of all of them. The Patriots kind of look like they're going back to the Drew Bledsoe like '90s look, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, the Arizona Cardinals, you can kind of see in the background there. It looks like they're just dirty, like they're covered in dirt. The Jets just go back to their midnight, black ones. Dolphins are in black. The Seahawks, I don't even know what to make of that. The Bills kind of look cool, but it looks like, if they play in the snow, you can't even see them. So I don't know. I mean, people are going to, go crazy over this. At the end of the day, I think it's just jerseys. Who gives a shit?
Well, they're going to play. They're going to wear them at the end of the season anyway. Like the 49ers, you don't have to see these for another, 4 months, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you got time. The Nike's kind of taking over though. Again, I don't know. I don't have like a big opinion on them, but I'd rather just teams stick with their current jerseys, which I think most are fine. The alternates that turn into throwbacks, but they don't need to do anything else. Like, I don't think City Connects are totally necessary. Like, what's the point of wearing a City Connect jersey to like, you don't need a jersey with all this symbolism toward its city when they already have this symbolic meaning and this, I mentioned this word already, but this identity to the team that's already embedded. Like, I don't think they really need to create something new. It's like, hey, we're like those, the creamsicle jerseys, for example, the Giants ones, like they just thought way too hard about it. It's like, hey, let's make the numbers fog and have that represent the fog because San Francisco people love the fog. We love that.
It's like if you take like one little bit of what represents the city and turn it into an entire thing for a jersey, it's like, okay, cool. You like the Cardinal stuff, like having just like that gravelly dirt on it. It's like, ooh, that represents Arizona. Okay, whatever. That's just, merchandising. That is the state of sports to sell more jerseys. It's kind of what bothers me is I like when the NFL does these throwback jerseys, like when the Eagles are going to wear their Kelly Greens. I like that. But like when they're doing these Nike ones, it kind of reminds me of the NBA trying to do something similar, like with the cup games and their weird logos are on the court and the jerseys are weird too. Even like in the NBA finals, like when the Warriors played the Celtics and the Celtics were wearing black, the hell's that about? Like in the City Connects too for baseball. I get it. Capitalism rules this society. So whatever you could do to make more money, jersey sales, cool. Yeah. I get it. But I don't really give a shit. Like when it comes to the 49ers playing potentially a meaningless game week 18 against the Cardinals, who cares what they're wearing?
We are going to get into this age though, Derek, where it's going to be AI prompts that dictate the jerseys. Like it's not even going to be people. They're just going to type in what they want from AI, and AI is going to come up with some makeup jersey, and they're just going to add a few tweaks. Maybe these were already done with AI, and they just designed them in real life. Like we're very close to that point, I think, where it's just AI stuff.
Yeah, no, that's basically going to rule everything in our lives, and everybody needs to get ready for our robot overlords to take control of our lives. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, we're coming to you on a Labor Day, and I do love Labor Day. The mix of a 3-day weekend in football, watching college football yesterday and Saturday. I want to go into our friend Alexander Scott's barbecue. It's just good. It's a good time. Stephen, you having yourself a good Labor Day?
Yeah, I didn't get a work day off, but I'm having a good Labor Day. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. Well, that's the life you chose, man. That is the life you chose. That's on you.
Well, I mean, we're all in radio. You guys taking a day off, I don't know. Might see a dip in the ratings, and that's why KCBS is boom.
Yeah, we're gonna see a dip in the ratings for Labor Day. Although there is a little bit of news. Juwan Jennings back at practice. Maybe we're making too much of this hoopla around the contract situation. We shall see. So today,
really a contract holdout situation or hold in? We're making too much of it.
Okay. Let me just say this. I'm glad all of this shit is finally done. With the exception of, I think there's two things still out there that maybe get done before the season starts. Aiden Hutchinson could get a new deal. Yeah. But if I was him, I'd wait because go have like a fucking defensive player of the year season and then maybe get more than Micah Parsons. And then I guess Lamar Jackson may get a new contract right before the season starts. Regardless of all that shit, I bring this stuff up because I just want to get through the off season, and it's compelling a little bit. I know you don't care, Steven. I know some of you don't care out there, but we're finally talking about actual football. We're talking about teams playing each other, finally. So that's what I care about most, is the actual games being played. And today we're going to finish up with the AFC West, do a preview on that. We're going to have our good friends Alon Desai join us to talk about the Raiders. We're going to have Tommy Call to join us to talk about the 49ers. And then we're going to end things with our season predictions. We'll go through each division, pick a winner, our our win projections and everything, or win predictions, I guess. And we'll do the awards. We'll do our Super Bowl matchups, and yeah, we'll finally get ready for the damn season to be going.
How about it? How about it? So for you, did you said you enjoyed watching the weekend in college football?
Yeah.
I mean, how man, that Arch
Yeah.
Manning performance against the Buckeyes, that must have given you a semi, huh?
It was flaccid the entire time. Dude, I mean, I think it's equal parts. We'll talk about it with Alon too, because he's a big college football guy. We'll talk about it with Tommy as well. A lot of hype around Arch, obviously, with his last name. And I thought it was too much to like. He flashed at times a season ago. There's definitely moments where I was like, oh, look at that, man. He's going to be the 2026 first overall pick. I can see it now. But then when you look at it, he just played sparingly. And there was a reason why Quinn Ewers started over him, is because Quinn was more ready to play. But you're hoping that the potential of Arch Manning could be that much better. But yeah, like when he's playing.
Or
go ahead.
Like I don't know. We maybe should look at Matt Patricia and maybe revamping his career as Ohio State's defensive coordinator, and maybe just every single team struggles against that defense going forward.
Well, I'll say that it wasn't really like a high-scoring affair in multiple games this weekend when it came to college football, like the big ones. The LSU and Clemson game, that was low-scoring. Yeah, I mean, obviously Texas and Ohio State. So that's where preseason benefits the NFL a little bit, to get their feet underneath them a little bit better and get going. With college football, they're just thrown right into it. And Arch looked like he obviously practiced over the summertime and everything, but it looked like he was just thrown in the fire and he was lost. And yes, to your point, Steven, Matt Patricia with the pencil and everything failed as a defensive head coach and defensive coordinator just recently with the Philadelphia Eagles, but he might thrive in college. So yeah, they were throwing Bill Belichick defenses at Arch and he wasn't ready at all. People were saying they were comparing it to Steve Sarkisian in the Super Bowl. Or actually, he wasn't there yet, but I was going to say the Falcons versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but Sark wasn't there yet, so don't forget that analogy. But yeah, Arch, he looks like a rookie in the NFL. He looks like a rookie in college football. He was in packages a year ago and filled in for an injured Quinn Ewers, but he needs a lot of work. So I'm disappointed they lost, but everyone was saying the same thing. He was going to need a full 4 years in college. Let's not have the expectations of Heisman. Still could be, a potential national championship team. Not going to throw that out just yet, but it's going to be a long process for a rookie quarterback, essentially.
Yeah, I'm going down on the AM stock, the Arch Manning stock, and stock up on JKS, Kiave Sagapolotele out of Cal. He was slinging it, man.
He was. He looked good. Cal looked good. Oregon looked really bad. Oregon State, I should say. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the ACC. And later on tonight, Bill Belichick has his debut against TCU. And we'll see if Jordan Hudson is on the sideline.
Dude, I'm waiting. Well, I mean, not for that, but I'm just waiting.
Yeah, thank God you're not.
On Monday Night Football, even though it's not Monday Night Football, but Monday Night Football, and Bill Belichick is just laying into a freshman for missing a block.
Yeah, I wonder how he's going to handle things with younger players.
Dude, it's like
I don't know if you saw his mic'd up.
If he wasn't afraid to call out Tom Brady, a guy who was defensive coordinator for Lawrence Taylor, and he wasn't afraid to call out Tom Brady for making mistakes and showing it on film, I would love to be a fly on the wall if they end up losing to TCU. Oh my God, watching that film back. That's my least. That is because I stunk when I played, especially freshman football. Least favorite memories. Actually, also some good times when it was other people being made fun of. But when it's you being made fun of on film, it's embarrassing. And I think Bill Belichick can shrink whatever egos any guys on the Tar Heels have if they make some form of a mistake tonight.
But that's why I think he wanted to go to college, because the NFL in recent years got away from kind of the dictators as head coaches. And Mike Vrabel's the exception. I think maybe Jim Harbaugh's the exception. But yeah, he wanted to go to college where he could, rule over everybody. No one can, come in there and be like, Bill, you got to calm it down a little bit. I don't think any ADs can tell that to Bill Belichick. They need him. So
unless Jordan says so.
Well, that too. And What's this deal? They're trying to trademark Gold Digger.
They're trying to sell something in the name of being a gold digger. Yeah.
That's so not Belichick, but whatever. Okay.
It's definitely out there. And I think Bill just kind of, just do whatever you want.
Yeah. Just going with the flow. Okay. Before we have Alon and Tommy come on, let's get through the AFC West real quick and just your divisions, man, to finish up our division previews. And let's start with the defending AFC championship or the defending AFC champions, the team that's won the AFC West. God, was it 6 years in a row, something like that?
Yeah.
The Chiefs, they lost the Super Bowl, but come on. I mean, they're still the Chiefs. They got Mahomes. They made additions this offseason, getting Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. In free agency, they picked up Jalen Moore, who was the backup left tackle that filled in for Trent Williams with the 49ers. I don't think he's going to be on their starting offensive line, but I don't know right now. They also picked up Elijah Mitchell, who hasn't ran in 2 years, I believe, for the 49ers. Yeah, went back with the 49ers. So, look, we all expect the Chiefs to be good again. I don't think anybody thinks they're going to take a huge dip this year. But the question marks are just, can this offensive line be better? They traded away Joe Thuney, and that was their Achilles heel in the playoffs. Was the Eagles, Milton Williams, and Josh Sweat, and everybody on their defensive line just getting into Patrick Mahomes' face, the strip sack that basically solidified the game at the end. So, yeah, I think their biggest problem on the field is the offensive line. We didn't talk about this, but Rashee Rice, at one point we were thinking maybe he was going to be able to play the first couple of weeks of the season and then have his, arbiter meeting or whatever, and that didn't happen. The NFL was like, you can potentially get suspended 11 games or take our 6-game suspension right now. Yeah. And he did. Smart move by him, because everything that he did a year ago, pretty bad. Like racing, having drugs in the car, leaving the scene of the crime. He's on video, basically not giving a shit. He's lucky that he only got 6 games. And then is this the last year for Travis Kelce? It sounds like it's going to be. And I wonder what they do tight end wise after that. But this will probably be Travis Kelce's swan song. And, even though they have all these question marks, are the Bills, are the Ravens, is anybody else going to overtake them in the AFC?
So that's it for you.
That's it for me, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, we're seeing the usual suspects, right? Like with Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, and Patrick Mahomes, even if it feels like they play second in the division, they're probably still going to get in via the wild card. And that would make for an interesting playoff push. But I guess my one big question is, can Josh Simmons live up to his first round status at left tackle and protecting Mahomes' blind side? Look, dude, I know we don't want to overreact to preseason and all that, but just watching Mahomes play, he looked agile, and it looked like he took whoever that Kansas City Chiefs radio voice is, and they took his fat shaming to heart, because I think Mahomes is out for blood, and mostly for that radio voice who said he's fat.
He's out for him. Like everything else out there in the past, whether it was the Raiders having the Kermit the Frog at training camp, he's out for this guy.
Listen, dude, getting back to the Super Bowl, no. Getting back to the AFC Championship again, like he's done every year, no. It's about proving this Chiefs radio voice wrong.
I'm with you on that, because when you work hard, like working out and trying to lose weight and everything, and just even one person says, "Oh, you kind of look fat," it pisses you off.
Oh, you know me, dude. I'm insecure as hell. I would want to smack that guy in the face.
Yeah, like I can't tell you how many times Steven wanted to fight Lorenzo Neal and tried to, but it didn't come to fruition.
Dude, he called me the other day. It was nice of him to call.
Low?
Yeah, it was nice of him to call.
An actual call? Nice.
No caller ID. So I knew it was him.
Okay.
He's the only. I'll get a potential spam call sometimes, but he's the only one where it's no caller ID that pops up.
Sometimes I get spam calls all the time. Anyway, go ahead.
I know. But I knew it was him, and he was calling me about the race with Guru, because I guess like 95.7 posted a video of Lowe racing the dude from K-Pix, Matt Lively, the sports guy.
Yeah.
And Lowe ended up winning a race, and I guess Guru challenged him and said he could beat him. And Lowe called me and asked me where you guys got that video. And I'm like, Lowe, I haven't worked with 95.7 in 4 years.
You're not there?
3 or 4 years. And he knew that. And then, but then he started like, hey, come on, fat boy. You know I could do this. You know I could be Guru. Come on, bro. Then after that, we had a really nice conversation, and
Yes.
might get dinner soon, so that's nice.
But tell him to come on the pod. It's been fucking what? We've booked him like twice, and we're like sitting here like, all right, I guess Lowe's not coming through then.
Yeah, we really need to get that set up.
Yeah, we do. All right, let's move on to the LA Chargers. Speaking of Lorenzo Neal, and their offseason additions were getting Najee Harris, but he had an unfortunate situation with the fireworks, I guess, just thing in his backyard or warehouse, whatever he was doing, and blinded him in one eye for a while. But he's off the NFI, so I guess he's good to go for week 1. You might see a little bit more of Omarion Hampton, who played for North Carolina a year ago, the first round draft pick for the Chargers running back. They added Keenan Allen back. They lost Joey Bosa, so you're going to see Khalil Mack and Tuli Tuapolota as the pass rusher opposite him. But the big thing to me is, how's this offensive line going to look without Rashawn Slater? That was huge. Like the day that I was at Niners training camp and he went down with a patellar tendon fracture, or not fracture, but whatever, torn, whatever it is. And that could potentially, it's torn, yes. Rip torn. Great actor. The ramifications of that are that Rashawn Slater potentially could not be the same player again. And they just gave him a contract. So there's that. There's also just how the season ended with Justin Herbert throwing 4 interceptions in a playoff game and looking like he doesn't really have a lot to throw to, but also at the same time making really poor decisions. So they got Lab McConkey. They got this guy Trey Harris from Ole Miss. They picked up Keenan Allen. They still got Quinton Johnston. But excuse me. I don't really know if they improved that much. I don't know if they're going to be a better team than what they were a season ago. I still expect playoffs, but to overtake the Chiefs, I don't see it right now.
Yeah, the thing with the Chargers though, and I'm trying to see if I could find it. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to save it for the division preview, but I got the Chargers like doing pretty well this season, all things considered, like even though with those things you mentioned, but my thing with them is, obviously there's the Herbert angle. Like, what's he going to look like when it feels like everyone's held them to this certain standard? Can he still do it with, I guess Keenan Allen would be his like number 1 receiver just because of the familiarity almost, even though he's not, but like, it feels like that's his most reliable target.
Oh, I would say Lab McConkey.
Or Lad. Yeah, good point. But with all those guys, they also did pretty well last year, all things considered. And I guess like my thing is and I know this is boring. This is really boring. I'm sorry. But can the starting defense actually stay healthy? Like, they don't have much depth beyond Khalil Mack, beyond Derwin. Like, they got really good players. There's no doubt they got really good players in starting positions, but I don't see much depth.
Yeah.
And so can that starting defense stay healthy? Because if they can, then I mean, I'm not again, I don't want to reveal my score, but I'm kind of going with the damn near the same record that they had last year. I think they can be a really good team. And I don't know, they just always rally around Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, they usually do. I mean, Harbaugh's never had a losing season to my knowledge in the NFL. So I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I just don't think that they improved mightily this offseason, and they may decline just based off of the huge injury to Rashawn Slater.
Yeah.
Moving on in the divisions preview with the AFC West to the Denver Broncos, who everybody is like, they're like sleeper sexy team. Like some people may pick them to win the division. I don't know about that. But they are loaded defensively. They were good defensively a year ago when they picked up Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga. On offense, they added Evan Ingram and J.K. Dobbins. Jahdae Barron from Texas, the corner, was their first-round draft pick. They're very talented on paper. But to me, it's just I don't have a lot of question marks with the defense, but how good can the defense really be? Can the defense be the best in football with Vance Joseph? I think that other teams may have better defensive units, but talent-wise, they may be the most loaded. And then offensively, just how good is Bo Nix? I know a year ago he was very impressive. I'm not going to hold it against him that it's more maybe Sean Payton orchestrating the offense, but still, like, can he get to the next level? Can he be possibly elite? I don't know. I always thought that Oregon was very simplistic offense for him, where it was just a lot of zero routes and he could throw at the line of scrimmage. And Sean Payton did that in his offense a year ago. But can they open it up a little bit more? Like there were games, I think, against the Bengals where he threw like just a beautiful deep pass to Marvin Mims. But how's the offense going to look? That's, I think, one, like, defensively they should be sick, but offensively, just how good can they be? And they should be with Sean Payton as the offensive play caller. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be a pretty good team. Again, we'll break it down when we pick our divisions and everything. But, yeah, I'm not buying the hype as much as everybody else. But, yeah, the Broncos should be a pretty legit team this year.
Dude, if they can get the run game going, and that's my big thing for them, since you already mentioned J.K. Dobbins, but that second rounder, R.J. Harvey, who I feel like I picked him up in like every fantasy league that I've drafted for so far, can they actually be better than what Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin gave them last year? Did you look? Going into this, I didn't look at the Broncos running stats until before the pod. Have you seen their rushing stats from last year?
No. I mean, I'm pretty sure they were terrible.
Oh, it was ugly. Here, let me get the screen up here. Javonte Williams, 513 total yards, averaging 30 per game, just scored 4 touchdowns. Jaleel McLaughlin, just 1 touchdown, 31 yards per game. Like, think about that. Between the two, they totaled 6 touchdowns and averaged 30 yards a game. Like, that's abysmal. That's abysmal. And the rookie was still able to, and Bo Nix was still able to have a season where people thought he'd be offensive rookie of the year. So that's my thing going into this season. I totally agree with you on the defense. They probably have a chance to be, along with the defensive player of the year, the best secondary in the NFL. They have at least a chance to take over the Eagles in that category. I think they're going to be that good with Hufanga, Greenlaw staying healthy. Yeah, no issues with that defense, but can they get that run game going? Because they got pieces, man. And that's a scary thing. I don't like that.
Yeah, and that's why they needed to improve their running back situation. And I think getting J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey will improve that. I also thought that maybe that Sean Payton would want to reunite with Alvin Kamara, because I don't think that Alvin Kamara is going to want to deal with what the Saints are, what type of season the Saints are going to have this season.
Yeah. Think we'll get rattled.
What's that? Yeah. Well, we'll see how long they get rattled, and then they'll get shook. You like that?
Wow. Rattled and shook.
Yeah. I don't know about that whole situation with the Saints. I could see a lot of veterans just being like, what are we doing here? Yeah. I could see Cameron Jordan, who's got like maybe 2 good years left in the NFL. He's like, I'm going to deal with this shit. And the same thing with Alvin Kamara.
He's got 1 foot into the media door already. He's not even thinking about his career. Dude, do you think Tyler Shook's fans are called Shook ones?
Ooh, that would be good. Right? No such thing as halfway crooks, though, Steven. All right. And for the last one, it's the Raiders.
I'm here. I'm just getting the lighting better.
Okay, all good. So, let's break down the Raiders, and let's bring in our good friend, Alon Desai, who fills in for Steven quite a bit on the show, and you can find him in the YouTube chat. What's going on, Alon?
Hey.
Whoa.
Hey, you guys got me?
Yeah, we got you. What should we get? Got a nice little background here of Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, Allegiant Stadium only about 35% full there.
The way it usually goes, yeah.
UNLV having trouble filling up the upper decks, but maybe if they don't get into dogfights with teams like Idaho State, it'll get a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, we're just breaking down the AFC West, Alon, and we were going through the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos. So let's finish up with the Raiders. And obviously, we all know their offseason. We've been talking about it nonstop with Geno coming over, Ashton Genty being the first-round draft pick, and Amari Cooper just signed last week. And Pete Carroll now, rounding this thing out to have one of the more impressive coaching divisions of all time, with how many guys have won Super Bowls, how many guys have been, established coaches in this league from decades now. Probably, maybe with the exception of Jim Harbaugh, all Hall of Famers. But my biggest question marks with them are just, can Geno give this team solid quarterback play for the first time since Derek Carr, really? And maybe even better. Not that I'm saying that he'll be better than what Derek Carr was in his Raider career, but that last season with Derek Carr was pretty bad. Not bad enough, I think, to move on and everything, but could Geno Smith, there's like some interesting stats where in a dome, he's way better than what he is outside. And that's most quarterbacks, but could he thrive in Allegiant Stadium? Is he going to chunk it deep to Trey Tucker and have a connection going with Amari Cooper and Jacoby Myers, given everything going on with the contract situation?
Yeah.
Can Ashton Genty, and this is a question for the long term, not just this season. I think this season we all have expectations that he'll be Offensive Rookie of the Year. But for his career, when you're a Raider and you're drafted in the first round as a running back, you will be compared to Marcus Allen. You will be compared to Bo Jackson. Is he that good? Is he better than those guys potentially? And who's going to step up on defense to help out Max Crosby? I think Max Crosby could potentially be a Defensive Player of the Year this season. I mean, that may be a tease. But with Christian Wilkins being out or just cut off the team, Tyree Wilson needs to live up to expectations. The first-round draft pick, Malcolm Kuntz, coming off an injury from a season ago. Who's going to step up defensively when things are kind of shaky in the linebacking core and secondary as well? And lastly, just can Pete actually make this team not just competitive, but just like feel like an NFL team again?
Functional?
Exactly. But like make them feel like, okay, we're going in the right direction. From John Gruden dealing with all the bullshit off the field, and we love John, but yes, that was a shit show at times. Josh McDaniels and everything that went on with that. Having team meetings. Antonio Pierce, where everybody thought it was all good and kumbaya and they're smoking stogies after games, to then having a team meeting in the middle of that season. Can they go through an entire season and not have a team meeting, just have positive vibes for the full 2025 season? Those are my biggest questions with the Raiders.
Whew. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, I know. I threw a lot at you guys.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Dude, Alon, I was about to start off with something simple. It's like I was at my brother's housewarming yesterday, and there's a group of Raider fans sitting at a table, and I just asked how they think the season's going to go, and they say, it's probably going to get off to a good start, and we're going to feel like they have something, and then towards the end of the season, in the back half, after like I forgot when their bye week is. I think it's week 8. But after week 8, then reality might set in a little bit that they're just not as talented as these other teams. And even though they might improve on last season, they still got a ways to go before they're back into being a playoff team. I was going to go a little more simple like that. Yeah.
No, either way.
Not an essay of all the concerns, but
that wasn't an essay, guys. I'm just going through all my concerns and question marks for the season. That's what we do here. Shit.
No, but there's a lot to unpack there, Derek, for sure. It's starting out on the quarterback. I think that's you have to start there.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, he had the ability to at times carry games for the Raiders. I don't know if Geno Smith is going to be able to do that, even in his best season in Seattle, those first 2 years, especially. Let's take the Ryan Grubb being the OC year out of it. So that would be last year, but the first couple years, he, even though put up really good stats and was very efficient, especially with the deep ball, he didn't carry games for Seattle. It was much more complimentary football all the way around. It wasn't Geno Smith like, okay, Geno, go win it for us. Not that he didn't have his moments where he did go contribute to that, but it wasn't like Geno drop back 35 times and make, dime after dime and make those kinds of throws that win a game. That being said, he also he protects the ball a lot better than Derek Carr does. He doesn't fumble the way Derek did. I think he's obviously more mobile. Derek used to be mobile before the leg injury, and then that aspect of his game really kind of just went away. The big question with Geno, because he's 34, I think he's 34 to start the season, is his arm still there? From the limited stuff we saw during the preseason, it looks like it is. But the question is with all these quarterbacks, especially the ones who get better later in their career, like Geno Smith, is how sustainable is that going forward? All that being said, if the run game is, I don't know, 16th in the league, 15th in the league, somewhere around average, that should bode well for him, because then they'll be able to play the way that Pete Carroll structures his teams. He wants them to be balanced. As far as on the outside with the wide receivers, Amari Cooper says he's still got some left in the tank. I actually kind of wonder what you guys think about that. I think he does have something left, but it's not going to be Amari Cooper versus the Chargers, in his rookie or second year. It's not going to be that kind of juice, that kind of flash. But I still think he's still going to be able to get open. There's no question about that. And with the added weight that he's put on over the past, say, 5.5 years of his career, he shouldn't have problems with the press coverage the way he used to when we saw him in Oakland. But yeah, that receiving core, there just needs to be someone to be able to take some of the pressure off Brock Bowers. Who's going to draw a lot of double teams.
There's a little part of me like, sure, I'd love to think that Amari still has something left in the tank. I mean, he's 31 years old. Like he should be able to. Like, I don't know. I'm 32. Like, I feel like if you're a professional athlete, you got to have something left in the tank if you're a year younger than I am. I'm comparing myself to an NFL player. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But same wear and tear. Yeah, same exact thing.
Yeah, I'm sure Amari Cooper has eaten as much Taco Bell as you in your life.
But I got a gift card.
You got a gift card to Taco Bell?
Yeah, I got one for my birthday. Shout out to my brother-in-law. $50 gift card. It's giving me like 3 trips. So
that's a whole lot of diarrhea. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm immune to that. So I'm like, there is part of me though that hopes that with the roster they had as constructed, at least in the wide receiver core, like you pick up 2 wide receivers early-ish in the draft. Obviously, Besh in the 2nd round and Dante Thornton in the 4th round, who looks like a player, by the way. It looks like kind of everything you wanted Martavis Bryant to be with the Raiders.
Good call.
And just with the lankiness and the dreads.
Or Denarius Moore.
Same look. Like with all of that, even with Trey Tucker too, I was hoping they'd be okay with just that quadret, whatever you call it, quartet. I was hoping they'd be okay with that, but I also think them signing Amari at the last second, it might be, just because he's available and he wanted to come back to the Raiders and he feels like he has some unfinished business, is the way he put it. But also I think the Raiders felt they needed a little bit of help. And I don't think there's that little part of me that's like, hey, that's not good. If they don't feel like they could get it done with those 4 receivers and Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty.
But you know what? I do think I was skeptical of the offense, but getting Amari and the way I think the running game is going to be, I do think this is one of the better offenses they had in a little bit of time. Yeah. I know years ago in 2022, I thought this is going to be the best offense we've seen from them with Darren Waller and Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow. So when you just say names, you got to be careful because it's all got to be a fit. The scheme's got to be right. And there's still question marks on Chip Kelly as an offensive play caller in the NFL. Yeah. But to what you brought up earlier, Alon, with Geno, I don't think they need to rely on him. If anything, they're going to rely on a rookie at Ashton Genty to be their bell cow in this offense. But it's just the fact that they just get competent quarterback play. We're not seeing Aiden O'Connell out there, and he's just handing the ball off to Zamir White, and hopefully he passes for 58 yards in the first half, and that's all you need to win a game. Or just a season ago, Gardner Minshew. Like, we all wanted this team to draft a quarterback for the future. I think settling on Geno Smith for 2 to 3 years is not bad. It makes you competitive again, and the familiarity he has with Pete Carroll, I think, will be beneficial for this season. So we know this division's loaded, and I don't know what you guys expect. Me and Steven will break down the division later on, Alon. So if you want to give your season predictions, go for it. But given what's gone on with adding Pete Carroll, adding Ashton Genty, the division they're in, and how competitive it is, just what are your honest expectations for the Raiders this season? Is it a building year, or are they actually going to win?
I think they're competitive. Let's put it that way. I think their floor is probably about 6 wins, and their ceiling is 10. That's if everything goes right. Right. So that's if they beat every team that on paper is inferior to them offensively. I think the defense still has a ton of question marks. Yeah. But I don't think they're going to be last in the division. If anything, I think 3rd is probably where someone should realistically slot them in. I think the Chargers are a little overhyped, overrated. And that's easy to say about the Chargers because it happens a lot to them. And
why do you say that? Just based on the offensive line injury, or just other factors at play?
Offensive line for sure, but it also has to do with the way that Coach Harbaugh coaches and the way his philosophy works. I just think they get into way too many close games that shouldn't be close, and it's because of the style of football he likes to play. There's a very low margin for error in order for Jim Harbaugh teams to win. Like the defense has to perform really well, the offense can't turn the ball over, and at the end of the day, they have what I think is an amazing quarterback in Justin Herbert. And I just don't think that coaching staff, for whatever reason, lets him dominate the game and dominate the ball the way they should. If I was a coach and I had a guy like Justin Herbert, I'm like, okay, we're designing the entire thing around you. I know they got a new running back in Omar Hampton, and they still want to pound the rock. There's nothing wrong with that, but like you have a guy who, could be one of the best quarterbacks in the past 10 years or in the next upcoming 10 years. And I just don't feel like they unleash him enough in that new coaching staff. That being said, much like Pete Carroll coming to the Raiders, when Harbaugh got there, he instantly got some legitimacy and some competency at the coaching spot. So I think for the Raiders, it's about beating the teams that they should beat. And there's quite a few of them on their schedule. That's one of the best parts about being in last place, is that you get a last place schedule. But yeah, 8 to 9 wins. I don't think that's a stretch, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they only win 6 or 7 either. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be ugly in the way that it was last year, or even in the way that it was the year previous, where even when they won, it was extremely ugly. I think the team is going to put up a decent amount of points. It's just about what the hell does that defense do? Who helps Max, like you said, Derek? Who's going to help Max on the defensive line? Because that's probably their best avenue to being a competent defense, is just getting good pressure on the pocket, good pressure on the quarterback. Because the back end is a lot of unproven guys outside of, say, Eric Stokes. And even Eric Stokes hasn't played a whole bunch of football. He's been injured quite a bit during his career.
Yeah. Once, he not even like unproven. They were once proven and then just kind of fell off. Like,
yeah.
Stokes didn't get a contract, the extra contract after his rookie season with the Packers, and obviously you got Jamal Adams, and I'm interested to see Jermaine Pratt. I wonder if that was just
I forgot about him.
I wonder if that was just kind of like a cap casualty. Alon, I don't know if you've heard the pod, but I've been dying on the hill that Devin White is in for a comeback season, just solely based on the way that Pete Carroll talks about him, and for no other reason at all. Just because Pete Carroll had that one press conference where he's like, "Oh, he's back, and I was fully bought in. Bought in.
I've been tuning in and listening to that, and I'm actually agreeing with you there, Steven. I don't know if he's going to have, some big Pro Bowl or All-Pro type season, but I do think he brings life, and I think he's physical still. Still think he moves around really well. I think he brings some attitude. One thing I do like about the linebackers that they brought in, and we can slot Jamal Adams in there now too, because he's more of that hybrid type player. They are very good in terms of blitz support. Like Devin White and Jamal Adams have a nose for the football. They can do a good job of getting after the quarterback. Landon Roberts, he leaves some to be desired in pass coverage, but the same thing was said about Robert Spillane, and Spillane ended up being a pretty decent pass coverage linebacker when you factor in his interceptions. I'm not saying he's great at locking anybody up in space, but he knows where to be at the right time. So Jermaine Pratt, I actually think the linebacker room is not as bad as everybody thought it was coming into the season. The only crappy part for the Raiders is that it's completely new. So the whole thing's revamped. But I think it all starts with the defensive line. I think you're going to get decent safety play. But Malcolm Kuntz needs to at least have 5 or 6 sacks. If they can get another 5 or 6 somewhere else from one of the other ends, and then, factor in Max Crosby with at least 10, then you're hoping that a guy like Tyree Wilson can keep building on what he's been doing, and hopefully he breaks out and maybe has 7 or 8 himself. But that's a lot of best case scenario kind of stuff for the defense. But in terms of the offense, I think the offense is going to have to carry the team. Ashton Genty is going to have to win Rookie of the Year or Offensive Rookie of the Year in order for the team to be successful. I don't see any other way they're successful if that doesn't happen. Brock Bowers, just about him, I know we don't talk about him a lot, and you guys don't sometimes. In fact, in the last episode, you're like, look, we're not going to really hammer the table on Brock Bowers. We know how good he is. But if Brock Bowers has another season where he goes over 1,000 yards or close to it, but more importantly, if they use him in the damn red zone, that's the thing. You got this tight end, and you don't use him in the red zone nearly as much as you should. Now, it was only 1 year and a horrible coaching staff, but if they can figure out a way to get him close to 10 touchdowns this season in the red zone, that'd be massive. So it's an interesting team. It's a competitive team, but they're building in terms of finding consistency, and they still probably are another year away from adding some more pieces, whether that's through free agency or through the draft.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
It really can't even get worse. It can't get much worse than last year. Like that is as unwatchable of a team as we've seen, I think, since like 2013, maybe 2012, like before.
I don't know, dude. 2014 was pretty bad for a good majority of the season. Like
at least 2014, you had Carr, like you had something to watch.
Yeah,
like last year, I just couldn't watch anything
to look forward to.
Yeah, everyone was hurt. You know, you had to wait with Gardner Minshew, and then obviously Aiden O'Connell later on. No Max Crosby after a while. Malcolm Kuntz was done for the season. Like, it was just unwatchable football. And then on top of that, Antonio Pierce fired.
It was probably worse than the 2006 team, because at least the 2006 team, you had a stellar defense. So you had one side of the ball that was fun to watch. This seemed non-functional the entire way for the entire roster. And Brock Bowers, as fun as he was, for me, it's up there with the 06 season and how bad it was.
I don't know about that one, just because the offense was the worst offense I've ever seen in my life.
It was,
and it was Aaron Brooks and Andrew Walter getting sacked, like 9 times in the opener game against, like, it felt like Sean Merriman had like 15 sacks in that game. I definitely heard what you guys were saying, because we went into the season with, not big expectations. We actually were pretty negative. I want to say like a year ago, we were all doing the same thing. And I think we were all like, yeah, they'll be lucky if they win 4 or 5 games. Like the fact they didn't get a quarterback, it just killed your hope. With Gardner Minshew being the starter and Aiden O'Connell, we thought it'd be maybe it's fun at times, but no like big wins or anything. It's just hard to compare to 2006, because that was just so bad. So like, I remember Warren Sapp comparing the offense to gay porn, actually, because he was like, I don't want to look at that. And that's a hell of a line from Warren Sapp. But I think this year it should be a stepping stone season. It should be them. You see them going in a new direction, and I think that Pete Carroll is the one that's, the fact that he's here with the Raiders right now, like, it's huge. At first, we were all reading the rumors about Ben Johnson, and obviously Tom Brady wanted him. And I don't know how that would have gone. I think that probably would have put bigger expectations for the Raiders. Don't know what the quarterback situation would have been. It's not like they had a high draft pick, or that high of a draft pick, to get one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. There's only a few that were drafted in the first place in the first round. So I don't know how that would have gone. But just having Pete, like, it's a different mentality. It's like I said before, you're not worried about, guys fighting amongst each other and Devontae Adams wanting to get out of there. I think it's just good vibes again. It's like back when Rich Bisaccia came in to save the day a little bit when Gruden got fired, and everybody was fighting for him. I think it's the first time in a while you're going to see the players really fight for their coach. And they did that for, Antonio Pierce a couple seasons ago, but this is different. This guy's established. You're not worrying about him getting the job next season, or is he going to, seem like Mike Singletary in a way. No, Pete Carroll's been there, done that. So, yeah, I think that it's baby steps. This season very well could be 7-10, 8-9, 9-8, whatever it is. Could be even playoffs. But it's just a step in the right direction. And I think that's what the Raiders needed. Not only their players, but the fan base needed this for quite some time to actually make some noise in Las Vegas.
No, completely agree. So it's one of those seasons where you're building, but at least you're competitive. What's nice is it's not a complete rebuild, because really the big spot that needed to be filled was the quarterback position, and that still needs to be addressed down the line. But at least you have someone that you've been able to plug in now that, unless Geno Smith his play falls off a cliff for some reason, which that wouldn't make sense. It'd be a weird thing to happen. But let's just say, unless that happens, you're going to have very good serviceable play. You're going to have a guy who's going to throw for a lot of yards, be able to connect on some deep balls, and actually make the offense a bit more dangerous than it's been in the past. And he should take a lot less sacks and have some of those bad mistakes that maybe Aiden O'Connell did last year and Gardner Minshew. That didn't work at all. And so, yeah, no, I mean, it's a team that's going to be competitive. It can be anywhere in those range, like you said, Derek, that we've been talking about, but it's all about just beating the teams that you should beat, because I think they are more talented than a lot of the teams on their schedule. But are they going to beat those teams? And I'm talking about the outside of division games.
Yeah, even though we're sitting here saying they should win these, they could, they might be an 8 or 9 win team. Like, the difference with this one is, like, compared to years past, they probably think they can win. Like, they actually have the belief that they can, because beforehand they didn't. Josh Jacobs did not believe that team could win. Devontae Adams did not believe that team could win.
No, he did not.
Max Crosby has been, keeping up appearances, but in reality, there's no way in hell he thought they could win. Brock Bowers, with his awesome lisp, I don't know if he thought that they could win last year. What?
His awesome lisp.
Yeah.
Does he have one? I didn't even noticed. He's got like a Pat Spencer thing going on.
That he does, but he also hates talking to the media, so he doesn't talk too much. He's all about football.
It's not worse than Buddy Hield, though.
No, it's not worse than that. No, I thought I was seeing Real Gladiator.
Just quick on Brock Bowers. I mean, yeah, Travis Kelce's probably retiring after this season. George Kittle still, I think you have to put him number 1 as the best tight end in football, just what he's done in the past. But Brock Bowers, with his Mr. Clean look right now, could be the best tight end in football when it's all said and done in the next 3-4 years.
Yeah, just purely out of him being bald.
Yes, just him being bald. Alon's with me on that one.
Bald gang, let's go. Brock represent. But
wow.
Hey, you know who great tight end who I never think fully embraced the I should shave the head is Jason Witten. Even when he was really losing, he was like, "No, I'm a classy guy. I'm still gonna comb it, make it look nice," and he never gave up. So shout out to Jason Witten, who played a year with the Raiders. But Brock Bowers, if he has another season that's even close to what he did last year, because last year's historic, he's not going to put up those same numbers because there's actual other targets on the field, and he'll get competent quarterback play who's not just going to look his way 24/7. Yeah. But if he puts up another dominant season where he's just uncoverable, I don't see any issue with saying he's number 1 in the NFL at his position. And if we're in terms of best, like if we're just talking about most talented, I don't think there's another guy at his position who's as talented and as dynamic as him right now. He just needs a longevity to start proving that, okay, I am number 1. I'm not number 2. I'm number 1. Because
he might be the best athlete at tight end right now.
Yeah, and people don't realize just how big and physically imposing he is, because the way he moves on the field, it's like, wow, this is so fluid. This is like a wide receiver. But then you actually get up near him, when like near the field level and stuff like that, it's like, okay, this guy's a load. He's still pretty big. He's not Michael Mayer, who's the other tight end, who's massive, but he's a big dude.
Just real quick, we all expect Ashton Genty to have an amazing season, offensive rookie of the year, over 1,000 yards. If he doesn't, it's a huge disappointment.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
All right, fair enough. All right. Well, Alon, we thank you for coming on. I want you to stay on as we do our first quad box ever on Just Your Opinion, man.
Oh, wow. Quad box.
A little quad box, a little Brady Bunch action here as we bring in another good friend of ours, Mr. Tommy Call. Whoa. What's up, Tommy?
Turn on the mic, Tommy.
Tommy, you're muted.
Tommy!
Hey, there we go. Can you hear me?
What's up, Tommy?
How we doing, guys?
We're doing well. What's the last time we talked to Alon?
A long time, man. It's been a minute.
Vegas, probably Vegas, when you were here for before your wedding or something like that.
Yeah, I don't technically think I saw you, so I didn't really count that because I was not in the right mind. I will say though, I was listening a little bit earlier to the show before I jumped on, and you guys were talking about tight ends, and I just thought maybe there was a slim chance as like an introduction to me that I would get a mention somewhere, because I did play tight end in high school. So I feel like I should deserve like somewhere in the conversation as some form of seat at the table.
Yeah, no, Tommy, if we're gonna talk about the best tight ends from the North Bay, it might be Brock Bowers 1A and you 1B.
Yeah, he's called me up a couple times, like I've given him a lesson here and there.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Yeah, sorry, Tommy. I wasn't familiar with your game back in the day when it comes to tight end play, but we'll definitely get to that. So,
yeah, not many were.
Yeah, Tommy's on with us. He's a contributor to Niners Wire and also managing editor of Warriors Wire. We were going to break down the 49ers, but before we do that, while Alon's still with us, you want to talk about this college quarterbacks. So me and Steven were talking about it before you guys came on. We all know that Texas sucked over the weekend. Alon, unfortunately, Alabama had a shit show against Florida State. How did Washington do, Tommy?
They won. It was a tie game against Colorado State at halftime. Then they ended up scoring 17 unanswered to kind of win the game handily. But there's some bumps in the road. But I also think Colorado State might just be like a sneaky, underrated good team.
Okay, all right. Well, just right now, when you guys look at college quarterbacks, who stands out to you? I know that everybody's going to focus on Arch because of the last name and being at Texas. So they're the number one. They were the number one team. They won't be anymore. Yeah. And him just having a dud of a game. Just what are your guys' thoughts on the state of college quarterbacks right now? Tommy, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Alon.
I think it's really good. I mean, I think Arch kind of has like taken some bullets for some other guys to let these guys kind of sneak up. I thought Garrett Nussmeier was darn near perfect in his game, over the weekend against Clemson, who everybody kind of penciled in as like 1B to Texas as the best team. I mean, I thought he looked really good, made some very pro style throws. And I think if you're looking for like your pocket passer, clean prospect, there's so much firepower on that LSU offense that he's going to make it look pretty throughout the season. The way he kind of moves in the pocket and throws the football is impressive to me. But I think the guy that, if you're going to go boom or bust and, be willing to lose your job for, but he might win you a Super Bowl potentially, is Lenore Sellers.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about him.
For South Carolina. I mean, the velocity he puts on the football, eyes downfield, likes to take the deep shots, can run, just like can't be tackled, ultra physical as a runner. I mean, it's, I saw some people compare him to like a faster Ben Roethlisberger because of his size and just like inability to get pulled down, but also like there is some just, it's a little reminiscent of, I think, Cam Newton, is fair to say, just because he's just so hard to tackle and you don't have like such a physical presence as a guy that can throw the football down the field. I mean, Jalen Hurts at the NFL level, he's physical, but I mean, not like just because of like his size, right? I mean, Lenore Sellers made everybody around him, I think, yesterday against Virginia Tech kind of look small and ran over a few guys, beat a couple guys to the corner, run to the edge, and then, threw the ball beautifully, I thought. So he's a guy that really piques my interest, and a guy that I'm interested to see where he goes in the draft.
Go on.
No, I love Lenore Sellers. That's who I was going to start off with, Tommy. So I love that you brought him up. Just his physicality to the way he plays is amazing. His arm's really good. I know he can throw the ball like 20 times against Vautech, but when he did make those throws, I mean, it looked really good, and he completed, more than half his passes for around 200 yards. But like, it's just the way, his durability, I guess, his ability to not get brought down immediately, even when he's on the run. I mean, he looks different out there, and he makes that South Carolina team go. He's perfect for them. The other guy, Garrett Nussmeier, you obviously got to throw him in there. He did have some definite NFL-type throws in that game against Clemson. I thought it was kind of rich because I had Garrett Nussmeier higher in my rankings than Cade Klubnik, and a lot of people like Cade Klubnik more than Nussmeier. And Klubnik, he did have some moments during that game, but not enough to show that he is the number one quarterback in the country. In terms of Arch Manning, I feel bad for him because the expectations are just so sky high. That Texas fan base and the national media, they want him so bad to be able to go out there every week, throw for 300 yards and put up 2 or 3 touchdowns. And it's just not realistic for a guy who hasn't had that much playing time. And it's not like he's learning an easy offense. He's getting coached by Steve Sarkisian. So there's a lot to do for that team. And you can argue that his skill positions are worse this year than they would have been last year. He doesn't maybe have the amount. Maybe he lost a wide receiver to the first round of the draft. So he's not working exactly with the same caliber of guys as Quinn Ewers. Doesn't mean he has bad players around him. It's just not the same. The other guy, I'll bring in a guy that neither Tommy or I have mentioned yet, would be Drew Aller.
Yeah.
I like Drew Aller as a college quarterback. He is pretty stiff in there. He doesn't really move very well, but in terms of just standing in the pocket and making throws, he can definitely do it. That being said, he played against UNR in their first game, and he wasn't really asked to do much. And I do kind of wonder what he looks like without a Tyler Warren to bail him out on some of those plays, because there were times last year where he would just throw the ball up to Warren and Warren would be able to make a play. So I kind of wonder if he's going to be consistent throughout the entire season. Outside of that, I mean, there's some other, I think maybe one of the most entertaining college quarterbacks. I don't know exactly where he'll slot in the pros. I mean, he'll probably get a look, but it would be Jalen Daniels from Kansas. I think he's a very fun quarterback as well, but he's got durability issues and he's never really been able to stay healthy. So you got a list there, but I think now after week one, there's some re-rankings that are going to happen. Cade Klubnik can't be at the top of those lists, at least after week one, and Lenore Sellers and Garrett Nussmeier are probably 1 and 2. Just pick the order that you want to put them in.
What, no love for the Mahomes wannabe?
That's weird, man. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
that's
dude.
weird.
That's some sick joke. That is some Alan and Phil stuff from The Hangover, and he's like acting like, no, I don't even try to be like him. No, that's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone
Dylan
is,
Raiola.
like, watching everything he does to make the comparison on their own. Like when he's telling someone to come in, there's like, oh,
yeah, that's that right there.
Mahomes. And so now it's like I feel like he's leaning into it. Like, what little thing can I take away to be more compared about?
Yeah, nobody does that. Nobody besides Mahomes, when someone tells that other person to come over here, do that. You tell somebody like, hey, come here. Only Mahomes does that. Dylan Raiola is just fucking ridiculous.
Raiola even stands the same way as Mahomes too. It's like all the little, all the little mannerisms, and I'm like, bro, come on, man. Like,
have they ever met?
I don't think so.
That's his mentor. Is supposedly his quote unquote mentor is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like Michael Keaton and the other guys when he's like quoting TLC and
exactly.
Like, no, what are you talking about? No,
hey, which is creep. Just creep.
Creep.
I mean, you wouldn't say that unless you're quoting TLC.
Alum, before we get you out of here, just your thoughts on you're an Alabama alumni, just the performance, and not only that, but the Florida State quarterback calling out Alabama during the summertime, basically saying, what are they going to be without Nick Saban? And now that's kind of coming to fruition right now.
No, Castellanos, he was exactly right. He looked good at Boston College last year. I watched quite a few of his games last year when he was at BC, and he got to learn how to play quarterback very effectively under Bill O'Brien. He goes to
O'Brien hated him.
Yeah, I know.
So bizarre.
And then so he's like, okay, I'm out of here, and I'm going to go to a team with a better supporting cast, because even as bad as FSU was last year at 2-10, they still have better players. There's no question about that. And Gus Malzahn with a running quarterback, he made Alabama look silly. And even if Saban was coaching the team, Saban would have probably won the game for sure, but it still would have been tough to contain the quarterback. But yeah, the shine is off Alabama. Still a good program because of the way they're able to recruit and the players they get and the legacy that's there. But Kalen DeBoer and this coaching staff, I mean, he got his guy, Ryan Grubb, who was with Seattle last year because he decided to stay in the Washington, Seattle area and just be OC in the NFL. And he's got his guy, and these guys are supposed to be offensive masterminds, and it just looks horrible at times. And I think one of the things that's happening to Kalen DeBoer is the shine is definitely off of him. We kind of gave him a mulligan for season one, but the thing is, it's like, okay, let's actually look back at his time at Washington, right? He had Michael Penix, who was super experienced and obviously pro-ready. He had an offensive line that was just amazing. I mean, they kept Penix upright 24/7, and he had Roma Dunze, who was a really good receiver, and they were able to make things happen. And Jeremy Bernard, who was a good receiver too. So they had guys who were able to make things happen for that offense. So, Kalen comes to the SEC, and it's a little different, and I just don't think that this is going to last, even if they somehow turn things around and win 10 games. I don't think it's going to last. And sooner rather than later, I think we're seeing Lane Kiffin be the coach of Alabama.
Wow. Well, Tommy has a different perspective of Kalen DeBoer being a Washington fan, where he's a god there and got him to the national championship, and now he immediately goes from Washington to Alabama. So what's your take on this whole thing, Tommy?
Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of, just in talking with friends and my dad, who's a big college football fan, I thought Alabama would, be in contention to win the SEC this year, especially just because, I mean, at Washington specifically, Ryan Grubb was an offensive mastermind. Like, that offense was amazing. Like, that's factual. And I thought he could potentially transfer that over to Alabama. So I had high expectations. I was shocked they lost that game in that fashion. It cost me some money personally and makes my picks look poor. And because, I had Alabama as an SEC winner, which doesn't necessarily look to be the case as of this minute as we talk. But it's funny, I'm going to steal a take, and I want to see what you guys think of it, from our good friend Nash Solomon. He actually told me this, and
Nash,
I kind of thought about it a lot, because he said, Kalen DeBoer, he's more Fresno State than he is Alabama, and he might be more Fresno State than he is Washington. And making a jump from Fresno State to Alabama is kind of an unheard of jump, and we're kind of seeing the Fresno State operation going down in Tuscaloosa right now, and that's just not going to cut it. That's not good enough. I mean, he was at Washington for 2 seasons, and he turned that program. I mean, he got it absolutely out of the mud. I mean, they were miserable prior to him being there, and the guy that took over prior to DeBoer had a lot of Chris Peterson talent, and that rolled over into DeBoer a little bit there, like guys like Rome Odunze and Jalen McMillan and a lot of studs they had, and Ryan Grubb specifically and Kalen DeBoer, they really kind of put the X's and O's behind these guys to set Michael Penix and everyone up for success. And now you kind of look at it as like, how much was he carried by those guys? How much was he carried by Michael Penix Jr.? How good of a quarterback really was he? And now not kind of having some of those pieces, I think what scared me is, Ryan Williams, who's an amazing player, Heisman potential at the wide receiver, did not look locked in by any measure. A lot of guys kind of, lollipopping out there on long runs while this guy's running around the field. And you look to a guy like Ryan Williams specifically to kind of give your teams a boost. It seemed like Jeremy Bernard was the only one that really cared in that game, the only guy to really be making plays. And to me, that was what was shocking, because when he was at Washington, DeBoer had his guys going, and that was one thing that kind of stood out the first year he was there, is that this team played hard, like they kind of represented him, and he seems like a rather tough guy. Now, a man of very few words, and it seemed like a businessman, and that did not look like that at all on Saturday.
Well, I know we're talking about the demise of Alabama football. I apologize, Alon, but I just love talking college football on here, and I'm glad the season has started, even though Texas looked like shit. But it's good to talk some college football.
Would you guys say the more you see it, the less you like it?
Yeah, I'd say that. Thank you, Steven. Wow,
Thanks,
that was good. I'm going to steal that.
The whole time Steven was just sitting back thinking like, all right, I got a good one here.
I'm waiting for that, dude. I was waiting.
I'm just waiting for Derek to shut up, and then I'm going to drop this on him.
I will say this real quick, Tommy.
Yeah.
I love that that opinion from Nash. I mean, that's good stuff, because I've been thinking of some of the similar things. I'm like, this is quite the jump for him. But I will say this, at like, his record is impeccable, right? I mean, he's been able to turn teams around or make teams into powerhouses wherever they are, whenever he's gotten there. So it's not an issue of whether the guy can coach or not. And everybody agrees that. It's just, for some reason, he does not have this team, this program locked in from week to week. And I'm not saying that, he can't do it, but for whatever reason, the fit is just not the fit that they envisioned it being. And to me, a lot of the best coaches around the country, especially when you look at the SEC or even the Big Ten, ACC has definitely a coach like this, and Dabo Swinney. A lot of them, it's not so much about the X's and O's. It's really about their leadership ability and ability to maintain a program week to week. And we just haven't seen that consistency out of Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. He did it at Washington, but he just hasn't been able to do it here.
Alon, thank you as always, man, for hopping on with us, and we'll definitely get you on more during the season. I'm sure you'll fill in for Steven when we need you to. But thanks as always, man, for giving your perspective on college football and the Raiders.
Of course, fellas. And Tommy, good to see you. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you, Alon. Have a good one, bro.
Later, Alon. All righty, Tommy, what's going on, man? Let's talk a little 49ers.
Let's do it.
So what have you made of this offseason? I don't think we've talked to you in quite a bit of time. We'll talk a little Finners as well, talk about your Miami Dolphins. But and that's not as good. But what do you make of the 49ers? They had an offseason where they said goodbye to a lot of fan favorites and Dre Greenlaw and Noah Hufanga, and they went all defense pretty much in the draft. In the recent weeks, they've added to the running back room, a wide receiver room. So just what's your take on the 2025 49ers?
It felt like a really, outside of, let's just take like the losses away, the guys they couldn't sign because of money or whatever reason, the exits out the door. That's going to happen when you're a team like this. This is the year it had to happen, but it seemed like they turned that into signing guys that you needed to sign. They handled these extensions that has been such a focal point of this team dating back to, it feels like my entire life, ever since I've started covering and following this team. Every year there's been a holdout of some sort. And I understand we're still dealing with a little bit of that with Jawan Jennings and such. But to go into an offseason and take care of Brock Purdy, take care of Fred Warner, take care of George Kittle, all guys that absolutely deserved it before training camp rolled around, it kind of felt like the vibe of this team was progressing. And I think one of the things about like last year and why the record was so poor, regardless of injuries and things like that, just the overall vibe of this team felt off from the start. They dealt with a lot. They were in the news for not necessarily the best of things. And I'm even talking about something of like Ricky Pearsall getting shot. That's very devastating to deal with, right? Like the human element of that, a new guy in the locker room, moving to a new city, dealing with something like that, that is crazy. Like that doesn't happen every day. And having to deal with that just felt like that included with everything else, with the contracts with Brandon Ayuk and things like that. It just felt like a bit of a circus. And then now it seemed like, okay, while guys did exit, there was some positives taken away by, we're going to go into this offseason with our veterans and our leaders that can kind of hopefully change or fix or band-aid the culture that was maybe poor the prior season. And then now there's been more injuries, and Jawan Jennings is holding out, a guy that I think everybody here likes and, kind of wants to see remain in Santa Clara for a long time, and a guy that's deserved it. You're dealing with things like that. And there's been just a lot of just hiccups with injuries, I think. And there's a change, but I think still you look at specifically the off season, I'd probably give it, a passing grade, whether that's a B, maybe even, I wouldn't call it an A because you lost so much, but I mean, fairly, a step forward.
I remember, Tommy, when we did our first show, I think it was our first show. It was one of the shows that we did on the weekend.
Okay.
I remember you were in Mobile at one point and you talked to Debo, and then you told me that you looked him dead in his eyes and you were terrified. You said that this guy,
I've never felt like that about interviewing any type of player whatsoever. I mean, he looked at me and it felt like a vibe of like the closest thing to potentially like Medusa to this guy does not want anything to do to talk to me. Right?
Medusa.
He would pay money for me to just walk away.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy, don't feel bad because you're not the only person that feels that way. I don't know if you saw the interview a couple weeks ago with Mike Garafolo going to Commanders practice.
I did.
Yeah. Apparently, he dropped something where Debo hurt his finger, and he revealed it in the interview. And Debo's like, look at him, like, you're not supposed to mention that. And Garofalo like clammed up. It was incredible.
Oh, it was awkward.
I remember when he came on 95.7 with Damon and just gave like nothing back. And in the back of my head, I was like, oh, I could have seen that coming from a mile away.
Well, that's just Debo.
Yeah. And that just might, like, nothing against him. That just might be who he is when it comes to the media type of thing. And
I think so.
He doesn't know me. He doesn't owe me anything personally, but it was just like, I was like, damn.
Oh, dude, he's changed. He's changed now. I just listened to, I think the dude who covers the Commanders, Grant Paulson, I think he posted something from his radio station when they did an interview, and I just listened to a little snippet of it, and he sounds like a different player. But point being, like, with that identity, right? Like, it felt like he kind of helped give that 49ers the edge where it's like, we're kind of fearing you in a way. Like we are, we're going to get hit. Like they're going to do they're going to get Debo the ball behind the line of scrimmage. They're just going to get the ball into their playmakers' hands, and they're just going to let them work. Like, I'm wondering, man, like I'm not saying this is a sure thing, but I just wonder if they can switch from like being that team that's all about yak, that's all about yards after the catch, to where Derek, he thinks this is probably the best wide receiver room in terms of them being just pure wide receivers, like guys who can run routes and catch passes and whatnot. But I'm like, I agree with you, but I also think having that little bit of Debo really just did something to the opposing defense that's just not going to be there anymore. So I'm just kind of wondering, and it's not really a question, I guess, like if you think it'll be as smooth a transition where they're turning into this team that's more about, I don't know, I mean, deep balls and route running and route trees instead of just, hey, we're going to get the ball in George Kittle and Debo's hands and let him run.
Yeah, I think that's a really good opinion, because even when Debo kind of had a disappointing season last year, and even when he had some bumps in the road in years past, it felt like no matter what, he won you a game or two because of that yak, because of that attitude, that edge. He's a guy, I think, that's scared. Like, you have to circle, if you're a defensive coordinator, you're probably circling him like he can do this to you. And you look around the NFL, and it seemed like for a while, every team was trying to find their own version of Debo Samuel, and why that potentially could have faded. I think, the exits offensively, and if we're going to get into some of the stuff with the skill players, and I understand like the Ricky Pearsall stock is skyrocketing. At the end of the day, let's still look at it for what it is, that this guy is a second-year wide receiver. It's his first kind of full season in the NFL. How good could that potentially be? We don't know. But one of the things that I think, when I'm doing my podcast, and we do a lot of like interviews with other opposing teams that when they're playing that week, and they'll ask me like, how do you slow down this team? Because you look at Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, the list kind of goes on and on and on. And even like Jordan Mason at times and guys like this, it seemed like the 49ers had so many threats offensively where, okay, if you're a defensive coordinator, you go, let's sell out taking out Christian McCaffrey. Let's sell out taking away Debo Samuel. Let's let Brandon Ayuk beat us. Let's let Christian McCaffrey beat us, because we know what Brock Purdy does is he's going to get the football in his skilled players' hands, and he's going to do that efficiently. Well, now you look at this team and you go, let's take away Christian McCaffrey. I right now, if I'm sitting in a room with the Seattle Seahawks, who they play week 1, and I go, you're telling me if we take away Christian McCaffrey, they're going to have Ricky Pearsall beat us? They're going to have George Kittle beat us, which he can't do. That's not necessarily like an easy option, but it's not. What do we do with Debo Samuel? What do we do with Brandon Ayuk? What do we do with George Kittle? Like, that list significantly shrunk. And while there is some positivity there, and you don't know what we're going to necessarily get out of Juwan Jennings and other guys like that, but that list of, I think, like dynamic threats has shrunk. What does that do to like the wins and loss record? I don't necessarily know, because there has been some funk with this team from last year that I think they're trying to change going forward. But that to me is a concern. And then specifically, like, okay, well, the positive side of that, you go, Juwan Jennings is coming back. Brandon Ayuk is going to be back. Brock Purdy had good rapport with Ricky Pearsall last year. George Kittle is going to pick up where he left off. You can easily say, like, these guys haven't been in practice with Brock Purdy. What is their chemistry looking like? What does Brandon Ayuk look like when he comes back? Is he half of the receiver he was? How long does it take him to get to 100%? Those questions, I think, loom louder to me than like the positive side of things, but we'll just have to see.
Whew.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the wide receiver room, I get everyone's skepticism when it comes to the injuries, because not having Brandon Ayuk for quite, I mean, honestly, I know they see week 6. I would be surprised if he's back before Thanksgiving. Like with what he did, tearing the ACL and MCL, I think it's going to be tough. I get it with Debo. They're going to miss Debo a lot. They bring in the toughness and the physicality, and being equal parts a runner and wide receiver. They're definitely going to miss that. But at the same time, I think that his role was kind of redundant as soon as they got Christian McCaffrey, who's able to do similar things. It's different because Debo, you can mix and match them. I'll never forget the game in Seattle on Thanksgiving Day where Kyle just schemed it up where both guys, you didn't know who was the running back or who was the wide receiver. It was a great game plan. But after a while and what you saw from Debo a season ago, I think it was time to move off of him. And I'm not saying that it's going to be better offensively. I just think that it's going to be more of a traditional offense in the sense that you're not going to have more gadget guys. You're just going to have pass catchers. And that may benefit Brock Purdy. And just to give everybody an update, Juwan Jennings did show back up at practice today. I don't know what's going to go on with the contract situation and whatnot. The latest is that Tim Kawakami said this the other day, actually on Willard and Dibs, saying that he wants $20 million a year. I've also heard he wants more than that. He wants like 25 a year. Ooh. And Juwan Jennings is a good player. He's not a great player. And I think that means, Stephen, we're talking about this. Tommy, I don't know if you would agree, where Drew Rosenhaus is his agent. And Drew Rosenhaus is an arrogant agent, but not a dumb agent to the point where he would say, we're just going to hold out all season long. If they put you on IR and you lose incentives, then, whatever, you'll get paid eventually. No. Juwan Jennings doesn't have the money to pull this off. So he needs to show up to practice, which he did today. He'll probably play week one, and they probably won't pay him until he actually shows something this season, which I think is fair.
It's hard. Like, I kind of talked about it on my podcast. I think you'd probably feel comfortable going up to like 16 to 18 million. I
agree with that. Yeah.
I think that's like a fair number for where he probably lands. It's like a wide receiver 2-ish number. I think if you're in Juwan Jennings' shoes, it sucks because it's like, this is part of football where we're at. Like, he has to do this for the betterment of his family, for his, I understand. It's just unfortunately like where we are in the state of football. Like, you have to do these holdouts if you're not getting what you want. And I think Juwan Jennings can probably argue he was one of their best offensive players last year, if not the best offensive player. Yeah. And you could look at what you say like, oh, he's not a true wide receiver, 2 because of, X, Y, and Z. Well, in terms of blocking, he's probably one of the best wide receivers at that in football.
No doubt.
If you lose that and you want to talk about how good Kyle Shanahan is at like the X's and O's and how he deploys these weapons and the scheme and things like that, people love using that word. Well, that if they lose Juwan Jennings, that run game takes a significant hit. Yep. And we talked about the loss of Debo and redundancy with those two players between Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel. I could fire back at you like, how much pressure did having number 19 on the field take off Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah.
Now you take away Juwan Jennings, who's a guy that's been a very pivotal blocking piece for them, even when he was behind both Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. That to me is a tough pill to swallow if you're Kyle Shanahan, because you go, this is how we use this guy. He is important. While he might not rack up, 1,000-yard seasons here and there, he adds so much more value in this run game that has been so successful for us with Christian McCaffrey here. I think Juwan Jennings finds a team probably tomorrow that's willing to pay him, that could use that, that could use that type of guy. Like, I wonder what, even though you don't necessarily need a wide receiver just off the top of my head, but like Mike McDaniel, what would he want to do? A guy from that Kyle Shanahan tree that would want to go find, deploy him in a similar fashion, with something he's been successful at in his career. So I don't know. I kind of, Juwan Jennings is one of the ones where I've been a bit on like, yeah, he is deserving of what he wants. 20 million does seem a little bit steep, but I mean, if I'm him, I'm shooting for the stars with that number, right? Especially with what's being leaked out to the media. Can they find a gray area? You'd hope so, because I think he is that valuable of a player, especially coming off what they have lost and what they're missing with having Brandon Ayuk still injured.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Tommy. I think that he's definitely valuable to the team, and for this wide receiver room to thrive, like, he's the dude's rug. Like, he ties the room together. Like, he's the one that's blocking everything. And yeah, like, Kyle definitely values him and Brandon Ayuk and their abilities to block. Like, I asked him the other day, like, about Ricky Pearsall and these other guys, if they have to step up in blocking, and he's comfortable with them. But I doubt that with their slender frames and their lack of blocking in the past. Like, Ricky Pearsall looks really good right now, just running routes, and that's something that they really needed, given what happened in the Super Bowl with man-to-man coverage and Debo and Ayuk not being effective at all. So Ricky Pearsall is going to be your true go-to guy, your first down maker. But as far as like a physical blocker, no, you need that in Juwan Jennings. But you said, I'm sure a team's willing to pay him. I'm with you on that, but not $25 million a year. I don't think any team's willing to pay him.
I think that's steep. Yeah, I think that's steep.
Yeah.
Tommy, who's your rookie? Who's the one that's going to be most impactful for the 49ers? I mean, I know I would say I would have said Jordan Watkins before the high ankle sprain, just because of the lack of wide receiver depth. But obviously, I think it's where the defense is. You're going to see a lot of starters. So who's your guy? Who's the one?
I mean, I think it's probably a toss up between those two tackles you took in the first 4 rounds with Alfred Collins and CJ West. I think, I don't necessarily want to say this as like, those are my guys.
Yeah.
I love them. I think it's almost your hand is forced. Those guys have to play a lot of snaps. You're going to find out who they are very early outside of necessity and need, because those guys are filling. You're going to see big chunks of snaps of playing time for both of those guys with how the 49ers rotate, defensive tackles in and out, and you lost pieces there, and you look at that position specifically, and they're, on paper, it seems like they're begging for one of those guys to break out. I mean, Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis, guys like that, those aren't necessarily like guys that are at the top of like, oh, I want their jersey type of thing, CJ West and Alfred Collins, you drafted these guys for a reason, and they've each had glimpses here and there in training camp and done stuff that has, excited people, but from a position that, dating back to Eric Armstead and things like that, where this position was a strength for many years for how this defense operated, and it freed up guys like Fred Warner and such. And now you kind of put like journeyman rotational guys in with 2 rookies. To me, those guys are not necessarily like, oh my God, there's all the talent in the world and they're going to be all pros type of thing. I'm like, these guys better play to some sort of extent, or else that defensive tackle rotation is just going to be miserable. So I'm personally very interested in seeing what those guys bring to the table.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I want Alfred Collins and CJ West to start day one. I know that they have those veterans, Kalia Davis and Jordan Elliott, but yeah, I'm with you, Tommy. Like, eventually you're going to have to rely on those guys the same way you're going to have to rely on Nick Martin and Upton Stout, who was not back at practice today. Just as far as, like, good news, Juwan Jennings was out there. So was Dominique Pooney. Nor Jordan Watkins yet, so we'll see as the week progresses. But, yeah, I think we all agree with all of the skepticism when it comes to the offense. We're all pretty not down, but just wondering what the hell we're going to see from this defense. And it's good that Robert Saleh's back, but with so many new faces, like brand new players, rookies, and you have the likes of Nick Bosa and Fred Warner to be there, that's good. Jamador Lenore, but it's going to look really different where I think the offense is going to have to carry this defense going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair, because I think one thing that's just so interesting about this team is for years, for the last couple of years, let's say, dating back to, when Jimmy Garoppolo was in town, this team had so much star power, right? They were like, I don't want to call it like top heavy in a sense, but they had so many guys that you looked at as a potential star, as a guy, that the reference I just used, that you would wear their jersey with pride, right? And other people are giving you high fives, like, that's a cool jersey because that guy's a stud. And then with some of the, departures this off season and the seasons have passed, you now look at it like, yeah, Christian McCaffrey, you got George Kittle, you got guys like that. But then the star power goes really, really top heavy. And that, for the first time, I feel like in a few years, we're going to see where the 49ers relied upon, this much of their roster, because there's so many skill guys up there, so many talented guys, Pro Bowlers, things like that, where now that list gets a little bit smaller and you're going to have to rely on this chunkier roster, where when you have to rely a lot on these guys to play significant snaps and take steps forward, that mix usually doesn't do well unless you have unless you're the Chiefs, right? Where they can just roll in rookies and journeymen and things like that, and they get the most out of them because you have Andy Reid, who's one of the best coaches. You have Patrick Mahomes, who's one of the best quarterbacks in football. And I'm not saying that Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan and things like that can't do that. They can't make guys rise to that level, but it's not something they've had to do, it seems like, in a little while, where George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, they got the best out of Brock Purdy. What is Brock Purdy and those guys going to get the best out of Ricky Pearsall and some of these, Justin Gage and things like that, like Russell Gage, that are,
nice Justin Gage reference, though. I like that.
Yeah. Not guys that, you're used to seeing out there. And then I think that really translates on the defensive side of the football. Like, what is Nick Bosa? Like, for years, you wanted to bring in guys around Nick Bosa to potentially free him up, right?
Yeah,
well, now Nick Bosa is probably going to have to free some guys up because that skill level dipped a little bit. And does Fred Warner bring the best out of D Winters? And can Renardo Green take a step? That's a guy that I look at as this guy's good. Like, let's see how good he really is in a kind of a full-time position this year. So that to me is like, if you want to talk about concerns, is like, what can they get out of that second and third tier of the roster?
Tommy, that was some elite hand gesturing right there, man.
I'm used to this one.
Well done, Tommy. Okay, real quick. Are we expecting Christian McCaffrey to be Christian McCaffrey of 2023, or are we expecting him to slowly decline now given the injuries and his age?
I think I would bet on Christian McCaffrey to be back. This is still Kyle Shanahan's system. There is still, regardless of everything I just said, there is still like key guys out there. I don't think this is a bad roster by any means, and Christian McCaffrey makes them that much better. I just is one of those things to me personally that if you want to call him washed or if you want to call him bad or injury prone or anything, it's like I just need to see it to believe it first. And whether that's week 1, whether that's week 4, when we can really kind of evaluate a little bit because of what he's done and how good he has been through his career, even besides some of the injuries from time to time. He is still one of the best running backs in football. He is the guy that has kind of changed the running back position to an extent. Like, you want a guy that can catch passes and do all these different types of things. Until he doesn't do it, I'm going to bet that he can still do it.
I'm with you on that one. I agree with you. It's just good to have an insurance policy in Brian Robinson now in case he's not the same guy. And I only say this stuff because, yeah, when you hit 29, 30, we all know that's the age where running backs decline, but everybody's different. It's just that he got beat up a lot in Carolina, didn't have many injuries when he came to the 49ers, and last year was the first time we were like, shit, okay, something's happening here where his body's kind of going against him. And, on top of all that, he looked good running in the snow against Buffalo a season ago, and then, damn, he, hurts his PCL and he's out. So when you have Achilles tendonitis and knee injuries pile up, that's where you sort of get a little concerned about his longevity. But at the same time, I'm with you, Tommy. I have to see it to take Christian McCaffrey off the field, but having Brian Robinson out there and having Isaac Arendo, who we think is going to be good, who's to say, Jordan James, it's good to have depth in case Christian McCaffrey's not the same guy, but I'm with you. I have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, I think my one little just like spin on the Brian Robinson acquisition is I was a little bit bummed to see that notification come across my phone just because
you want him on the Dolphins.
No, I mean, it's Ollie Gordon season, baby. I'm excited for that one.
Oh, wow.
He might be all we got to be excited about. But specifically Brian Robinson, Isaac Garendo is a guy that I thought came in at times last year and looked awesome. And you go like, is this another gem that Kyle Shanahan's found at the running back position? And then you come across to the draft, and Jordan James is a guy that I had probably personally a lot higher of a pick than what he went off the board at. And I thought he was great at Oregon. And you see a guy that's, similar that went through Oregon and kind of was underrated, and Bucky Irving, he comes into the NFL and tears it up. And I go like, Jordan James isn't necessarily like in terms of skill level that far away where I think he could be another diamond in the rough type of player. So I was excited for what that, the potential of that running back room, but then everything that, we talk about the negatives from the offseason. Isaac Grindo gets banged up at times, dealing with fumbles potentially in training camp. And you kind of hear so much negatives about that room where I think the 49ers hands were, forced in a direction where if we want some form of insurance policy, we can't necessarily count on these guys yet. So we go and get a Brian Robinson for, a 6th round pick or whatever it was, as a smart football move, but internally just because of the excitement or, what I wanted to see from Garendo and even Jordan James down the depth chart, to me, I was like, man, it's a bummer that it has fallen that far with, I think last year, if like fantasy football drafts and whatnot started at the end of last season, you're looking at Isaac Garendo as a guy as like a breakout candidate. And then now a couple months in the off season, you go like, we're not touching this guy with a 10-foot pole.
Tommy, I'm going to put you on the spot. You're a barbecue guy. if the 49ers were a cut of meat, what would they be?
I'm gonna go ribs because I think ribs is like everybody's favorite. You know what you're gonna get from it, but if it's not cooked well, if they're overcooked and they fall off the bone too much, they turn into mush. You don't want that. If they're undercooked, they're chewy. You don't want that. Where brisket's probably the best cut of meat. They're not the best anymore, but they're still a classic. Ribs.
Wow, that's a great answer.
It is fantastic answer. Steven tried to put Tommy through the ringer there, and Tommy was unfazed.
He really
was. He had a rib take ready to go, and he just related to the 49ers. That was perfect.
Come on.
Well, Tommy, you barbecue all the time. Are you still barbecuing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We barbecue. Doing a competition in September 20th. I think is our next one. We're coming.
Oh, fuck yeah. All right, man. Come out for that.
Yeah.
Where?
Petaluma.
All right, I'll be there.
You should come. It's a really fun one.
Yeah, dude. I mean, come on. I was over to the Concord one.
He was. Steven made the trip out. And he's came in. The tacos were really good. That was a good one.
Bro, those tacos were bomb.
All right. We may have to make the journey out there. Tommy, just your quick thoughts on your Finners, your Dolphins.
Really
bad.
I
know, but let's just go through it. Mike McDaniel looks like he's going through hell. He wanted Jalen Ramsey to get the fuck out of there. That was pretty apparent. They made that deal where Jonnu Smith goes as well, and Minka Fitzpatrick goes back to the Dolphins. You have scout team linebackers for the Lions calling out the Dolphins in joint practices. The team's doesn't sound like they're over Tyreek Hill, calling out or basically saying he wants out the last game of the season against the Jets. And yeah, Mike McDaniel's on the hot seat. Chris Greer's on the hot seat. Just your thoughts on the Dolphins going into the season?
I mean, I don't know. I think the three of us can collectively bond of we have been fans of bad teams for our entire life. And we've all seen this story before, right? Like I have seen this version of the Dolphins multiple times in my life where the start of the season vibes were bad and it ended in people losing their job. I think Mike McDaniel is going to be a good head coach in the NFL. I just don't think it's going to be with the Dolphins. It wouldn't surprise me if he takes a couple years under. He potentially goes and works for Kyle Shanahan again and is offensive coordinator somewhere and gets better as like the manager side of things and grows up a little bit. And then he goes and, turns into a playoff winning head coach somewhere else. I think, it just feels bad. It feels funky. It felt that way last year. I think we missed obviously Tua a lot. I think people are discounting, like it's easy to pile on Tua because of the injuries. He plays horrible in prime time. So I think like the casual NFL fan out there just think Tua sucks, but like he can win you football games. Like he's done it before. I think he's as a guy that's been frustrated with him multiple times in his career, I think he is still a little bit like underrated. He's not as bad as people think he is. And so if he plays well, they might stumble into some wins here and there. I think you're going to find out a lot about them in week one. You go on the road to Indy to play a Daniel Jones led football team. It's like, if you can't beat them, like that almost feels like a must win game. And if they lose that game to start the season and let Daniel Jones throw all over them, and with an absolutely horrible secondary. Jack Jones is like our cornerback one, so
that's not good. That's not good. Me and Steven know that very well. That's not good.
Yeah, and Jack Jones, like he's so boomer bust, like he's either gonna give up a deep ball or make an incredible interception, and we've already seen some of that. And like
he's Sean Smith.
Yeah, and it's just another former Dolphin. And it just I don't know, like it just does not feel good to me unless you have like breakout seasons from Jalen Waddle. What can Devon A-Chain bring you behind kind of a new, potentially better offensive line? Your defensive line pass rush is really good. I think that's probably the strength of the team is the pass rush. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It does not feel good. I saw 8.5 wins was like their original Vegas over under total. And I thought that was super high. I actually took the under just to give myself some sanity because I just know they're going to be bad. And now I think it dropped to like 7.5 maybe before the season started. I think that's probably a little bit more fair.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel good. I'm not excited. I think the one positive is my son is about a month old, and he's going to get to see. He's going to know what bad football is early in his life. Like he's going to get out of the way. Going to go through the fire. If we, had this kind of soft, high passing volume offense that just flopped in December, that would have been a bad learning lesson for him. Like he needs to know kind of how bad things can get from the jump. So that's like my way of spinning it, that it's going to be a fun season.
Yeah, teach your kids young. You don't want them seeing 70-point wins against the Broncos. You want to see them be shitty.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. My wife's looking at me like I'm a crazy person when I tell that people.
Well, she might think you're more crazy when I ask you this. You got a little bit of Seinfeld trivia for me, Tommy?
I do. Yeah, I do.
All right, let me lay it on me.
Okay, so where did the soup Nazi go when he closed up his shop and left the country?
Oh, that's a great question, Tommy.
Oh,
so you're referring to the finale where all of them came back?
Well, no, I'm talking about the soup Nazi episode, arguably one of the most famous Seinfeld episodes.
My favorite episode, yeah.
There's a little like one segment saying he's packing up his things.
Oh, you're right. Shit. Yeah, because Newman says it at the end.
Newman says it to him. Yes, you're close. It's hard. I was stepped on this by Brian.
This is a great question because Tommy will periodically text me, Steven, just random Seinfeld trivia, and I'll nail it like in 5 seconds. And he's like, "All right, you got me." This is one that he's actually got me. This is at the very end of the episode. Fuck.
He's like, "I'm going to get pots and pans.
Yeah. He's going to. It's probably, knowing Larry David, it's probably some really obscure country.
It's not.
It's not?
It's not. I wouldn't call it obscure.
Okay, but they call him a soup Nazi. He definitely wasn't from Germany, though. He's going back to, I was going to say Russia.
Mm-mm.
What was it?
Argentina. Yeah, Argentina.
Got that. Thank you, Steven. Yeah. I do remember Elaine saying he looks like Al Pacino and doing the whole scent of a woman thing. But yeah, it's always those bit things at the very end of the episode after the executive producer thing, the freeze frame at the end of the episodes, and they do the end of credits scenes. Yeah. No one remembers those parts. Damn it, Tommy, you got me.
I have to bring out the heavy artillery when I'm going to ask you some trivia here.
As you should. That was a really good one.
Yeah.
Tommy, thank you as always, man. It's always fun to see your face. It's been too long.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me on. It's always fun talking with you guys. It feels like, I don't know, the old days, the glory days.
The glory days when we were all hanging out 95.7, and then me and Tommy would go to Raiders training camp with Alexander Scott at the Shabliss. Good times.
Yeah, that was great times. I was just telling somebody about that recently. Glory days. See, I'm living it up without you.
The glory days. All right, Tommy. We'll see you again, man.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
it.
Dude.
Later, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Tommy Cole. Good dude. All righty. Well, we talked for about.
He texted me something. I was gonna pull it up, but I didn't have time. I couldn't get it because I sent him a congratulations text when his son was born, because he already had the daughter. Obviously Charlie's like 2 or 3 now. Already planning on not making eye contact with him for a solid 15 years. And if he can't handle that, he's got to sleep out. If he can't handle being a Dolphins fan, he's got to sleep outside.
He has to learn. That was just a month ago. The baby was born.
That was a while back when I texted him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was in January.
Oh, damn it. Well, you get up on this Instagram. That's where everybody's posting these baby pictures.
Yeah. Get on it, Derek. Come on. There's a great picture posted of you.
I noticed without my consent too. Thanks, Cody. All right. We've talked for about an hour and 40 minutes about the AFC West. Talked Raiders, talked Niners with Tommy and Alon. So let's do what we always do this time of year and make our division predictions, our season predictions, awards, and whatnot. Steven, you have some music we could do? Well, we're doing like, what was that, Cuban Beat from The Mask? They call me Cuban Pete. All right. Well, you want to start want to do like a crappy division like the AFC South?
Oh boy. Hang on. Let me pull up the results here that I got. All right. Yep. Let's do it.
All right. Let's do it. All right, Steven. You want me to go first or you?
I'll go first. I'll just make it really quick.
Okay.
I got the Jaguars. I really, again, like we talked about it before, I don't know where they're going. I'm sorry for the bottom. I'm going up. I got the Jaguars. I went game by game, and I only got the Jaguars going 4-13 this season.
Ooh.
Yeah. They stink. That's what I got.
Okay. All right.
Apparently. Then I also got the Titans in third, 5-12. I got the Colts. I got the Colts on the up and up. I told you, Derek, I'm bullish on the Colts this year. I think they got a lot of talent, and I think Daniel Jones can be serviceable. So I got them going 10-7, while I got the Texans going 11-6.
Ooh, okay. All right. As far as last place, I think Cam Ward is going to be very exciting, but I don't think it's going to be like a CJ Stroud or Jaden Daniels situation for Tennessee this season. So I think they make baby steps in the right direction. But even they acknowledged Brian Callahan and Mike Bargazzi at their introductory press conference or whatever, training camp press conference, where someone asked them, so are you guys planning to win the Super Bowl this year? And they're like, no, we're not. We're trying to make things good for Cam Ward. I got them in fourth place, going 5-12. And I base this off of the playoff predictor website. I just put the results in of who I think wins, and this is what comes out.
Yep.
I got Jacksonville making strides in the right direction with Liam Cohen and Duval and all that, but they go 6-11. They're just making baby steps. You see more from Trevor Lawrence, but just 6-11, they're in third place. I do have the Colts, even with Daniel Jones. I'm with you, Steven. There's a ton of talent on this team. It's just the quarterback position. How long will Daniel Jones be quarterback? How long will before Anthony Richardson gets his job back potentially? A lot of, Shane Steichen's on the hot seat, Chris Ballard's on the hot seat, but I think they have a okay season, probably, just the same as a year ago. So I don't know if it's enough to save their jobs, but I have them going 8-9 and being second in that division. And once again, I have the Texans being division winners at 12-5 and being your fourth place team, fourth seed in the AFC. There's a lot of question marks with them, with Joe Mixon starting the season on IR, I believe, whatever designation he has. They're going to have to run with Nick Chubb. But yeah, I think that by default, the Texans, they have a lot of talent. They may have the best pass rushing duo in all of football, but I think they're good for fourth in the AFC.
Wow.
All right. Moving over to the NFC South, Steven. What do you got?
Oh, this sucks.
Yeah,
this one sucks. I don't know how I came up with this. This actually, now that I'm looking at it, this is probably not a good prediction model on my part. Because I guess like when I'm doing the playoff predictor and I'm looking at each game by game, I don't have the Panthers winning that many. As a matter of fact, I didn't see this one. I got the Panthers winning one game.
Damn.
I got them going 1-16.
So they're the team that's in fourth place?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking what's his face? The owner of the team is going to just go crazy every week.
David Tepper.
Then
I got the Saints going 6-11, Falcons going 7-10, while I got the Bucks going 9-8.
Dude, pretty spun on with me. I think for a good deal of the season, a lot of these teams are under 500, and everyone's going to do the same thing of, should the NFC South division winner make the postseason? Well, yeah, they're going to, obviously, but it's going to be a shit show. Yeah, I have the Saints instead of the Carolina Panthers. I went through their whole schedule. I see maybe one win. I have the Saints going 1-16.
Yeah.
Then I have the Carolina Panthers just as they were a season ago, not making that much progress. I have them going 5-12. The Atlanta Falcons, they have a lot of talent, but I got to see what's going on with Michael Penix first to believe in him. And I don't really like the makeup of their team. I know they have a ton of talent, but I don't know about Raheem Morris as a head coach, honestly. So I think they go 7-10 and they're second in that division. And kind of like the Texans, even though the Texans are a better team, the Buccaneers, they've won that division, 4 years in a row now. By default, They have the best team, Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. So yeah, I have the Bucs going 9-8 and winning that division once again. All right, let's move over to. Sorry, hold on. Let's go with the AFC North. What do you like in the AFC North?
Yeah, Browns are same as the Panthers. I got to go on 1-15, 0-6 in their division. I really got the Browns winning any games. Like I really don't know on their schedule.
You have two teams going 1-16.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. But the rest of this. But here's the thing with the rest of the AFC North. I actually have I just couldn't help but think of the Steelers defense when I was making predictions. But with the Bengals, I'm going I'm going the Steelers 10-7. I also got the Bengals going 10-7. Funnily enough,
okay.
The Bengals would get the higher seed, and then sorry,
flip that.
Flip them. My bad. Steelers have the higher seed in there. And then the Ravens are going 15-2.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm with you. I think that the Browns, it's good. I mean, they pretty much have. They're not saying it to people, but all indications are they're kind of doing close to a tank job this season. And it sounds like Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry have nothing to worry about because they have 2 first-round picks next draft, so they'll keep their jobs even though they have potentially a shitty season on their hands. Yeah, I see the Browns going 2-15. I mean, again, I don't know why Myles Garrett came back to them because $40 million a year sounds cool, but he wanted to win. They're not going to win this season. I don't see it happening. I have the Steelers at 3rd, and between the two of us, I was the most wanting to talk about Aaron Rodgers going over to the Steelers, and it's more flashy this season with getting DK Metcalf and Jalen Ramsey, but it's a lot of guys that were successful about 3 years ago. I don't know how it's going to translate right now. I think their defense is going to be sick, but offensively, I mean, wide receiver-wise, they have DK Metcalf, and after that, it's like Scotty Miller and Skoranek and Roman Wilson, who's a guy that was at Michigan. A lot of unproven things. They have a ton of tight ends, and they're going to run the ball a lot to help out Rodgers. But I see them going 9-8 and not making the playoffs. I don't have the Steelers making the playoffs.
Wow.
I do have the Cincinnati Bengals as a wild card team at 11-6, and I think that people make a lot of the defense, and you should because Joe Burrow had a fucking incredible season. But there was games where they scored 34 points and didn't win the game multiple times last season. Having Trey Hendrickson will help them. Having Al Golden from Notre Dame be their DC will help them. Joe Burrow is going through the same stuff that Drew Brees and Dan Marino went through back in the day where they were putting up prolific stats but didn't make the postseason. This time around, though, they make the postseason as a wild card team. I have them as the 5th seed in the AFC playoffs. And then, with all that Baltimore has right now, it's hard to go against them. I struggled with maybe Cincinnati actually wins this division, but Baltimore's just too loaded. They probably sweep the Bengals this season. So, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens as your 3rd seed in the AFC, winning the division once again, going 12-5.
Wow.
And then let's move over to the NFC North, a very interesting division. Steven, who do you have in this division?
I got
seeding.
Well, I got the Bears in last. They're going to be 5-11.
Ooh.
They're not going to win a single division game. I know Ben Johnson's around here, but I just think the other teams are too talented. I got the Vikings in 3rd, 10-7. They're missing the playoffs though, because I got the Packers going 11-6, and the Lions 13-4.
Alrighty. With me, I have the Bears having growth with Ben Johnson, but just by a little. I think this division's too hard, and their divisions, even though they were a 4th place team, not that much improved. So I think Caleb Williams looks good, but not great. And I have them going 7-10 and being 4th in this division.
Dude, there's some who think he might even move off from Caleb Williams just because of the way he talks about him. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, it doesn't feel like he has that long of a leash. Maybe he does.
Yeah, people are reading into Tyson Bagent getting a contract. I would say they just like him as the backup. Something would have to happen between Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams for there to be like a divorce like that. The whole point was to have Caleb Williams be the next great quarterback. He doesn't have carte blanche like Sean Payton did with Russell Wilson and the Broncos, where you could just say we're moving on from him. No, Ben Johnson probably is going to have to keep go. If they don't have a successful season, Ben Johnson's going to have to keep going at it with Caleb Williams in order for him to be successful.
Yeah.
I got the Minnesota Vikings at 3rd with a 9-8 record and missing the playoffs just by that much. I think that they're loaded everywhere else. Getting Adam Thielen will help that receiving core when Jordan Addison comes back. Maybe the secondary is the weakest part of their team, but it really is the unknown of J.J. McCarthy and how he's going to be this first season. Like, they were amazing a year ago with Sam Darnold, and probably would have won the division anywhere else if they weren't in the NFC North. But now when you have a rookie quarterback, basically, it's going to be crashing back down to reality a little bit.
Yeah.
I have the Lions taking a step back and being second in the NFC North with a 10-7 record. I think that if you look at their schedule, they have a lot of hard road games, and I think that you're going to see it early on where the offense struggles a little bit and the defense struggles, but then they pick it up to where they were a season ago. So, yeah, I do see them making the postseason at 10-7. And I was going to do this before the Micah Parsons trade, but adding Micah Parsons, that makes all the difference to me. So, yeah, I think that, and people know I'm high on Jordan Love. I love Matthew Golden. I think that Josh Jacobs could potentially lead the league in rushing this year. Yeah, I have the Packers winning the division, and I have them as your number 1 seed in the NFC.
Wow. With
a record of 13-4.
You think Micah is just going to make the instantaneous impact? Like, you don't think any of this offseason without a training camp is going to have any hindrance? He's just going to right away be the impactful pass rusher that we all know, even though he has to have an epidural in his back. There might be a sluggish start given the back injury that was legit, and he's practicing. He's going to play week 1 against the Lions, but I don't think he's going to. He may not have as strong of a season given everything that went on this offseason. So. Yeah. I'm not saying he's winning Defensive Player of the Year by any means. I just think that he makes that much of a difference and helps out Rashawn Gary enough where that defense eats. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I see the Packers winning the division. And your number 1 seed in all of the land in the NFC. All right, let's move on to the AFC East, Steven. The Buffalo Bills have dominated this division pretty much the last 5 years. How do you see it going down? Yeah, they're still going to do that. I got the Jets at the bottom, 4-13. I got the Patriots going 6-11, being in third. A little bit better, but not great. I got the Dolphins right at that 8-win mark, as Tommy was talking about. I got them going 8-9. While I got the Bills going 14-3. However, a couple of those losses are going to be against division opponents, so keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, but I have it mixed up a little bit. So, yeah, the Jets, 4-13, I'm right there with you. I think that's going to be a struggle for Justin Fields in that offense. Defense will probably be solid, but not enough. I have the Dolphins having a bad season. I have them going 5-12 and third in that AFC East. And most likely then they would move off of Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer. I think people are sleeping on the Patriots. I think that Mike Vrabel is going to turn that team around. I think they go 9-8. They don't make the playoffs, but they have a winning season. And yeah, the Buffalo Bills, they're so close. And I pretty much pick them every single year to win the Super Bowl. We'll see if I do again. But yeah, I think they lose a few games here or there. But yeah, I think that they're just as dominant as they were in seasons past. Yeah, I got the Buffalo Bills going 14-3 and your number 1 seed in the AFC.
Nice.
All right, let's go with the NFC East now, Steven.
So at the bottom, I got the Giants, 3-win ball club. I think we're going to go 3-14. Then I got the Cowboys, not that much better. I got them winning 4 games, dude. 4-13. I don't know how I came up on that number, but I did. Then I got the Commanders going 10-7. They're going to be in second place. They're going to be the 7th seed going into the playoffs. Jesus. Getting choked up. Then I got the Eagles going 13-4.
Alrighty. I pretty much have the same thing as you. I have the Giants winning 3 games, and I know that they're much more talented with getting Abdul Carter, but I can't see a lot of wins on that schedule. So yeah, they go 3-14, and probably Brian Dable and Joe Shane are fired. I'm right there with you with the Cowboys. I see them going 4-13. I think you and I saw it back in 2018 where the Raiders traded Khalil Mack right before the season started, and the season went in the tubes right away. And that was the goal for the Raiders, honestly. With the Cowboys, I don't think they want to be that bad, but yeah, I think they will be. With the Commanders, I have them making the postseason once again, but they go 11-6, and they're your 6th seed in the NFC playoffs. And the Philadelphia Eagles, kind of fall back a little bit, but not too much. They go 12-5, win the division. I think it's the first time in 20 years we have an NFC East repeat champion, and they are your second seed in the AFC or NFC. All right, and let's finish up with the AFC West.
We started the NFC West too.
Well, yeah, we'll do that as well.
Yeah. All right, so I got the Raiders going 8-9.
Okay.
I think they're going to be good, but not great. I got the Broncos, and I don't know why. I think this was just to be honest, I based a lot of my picks off bye weeks and travel schedule and all that. And just when looking at the Broncos, I got them going 9-7.
Okay.
And then when I went with the Chargers, I got them going 11-6 again. Literally the exact same record as last year. And then
I just want to note that Steven's win totals they're all like close to 16 games of what you said so far. You're living in the past.
What?
You said Broncos 9-7. You said Bears go 6-10.
Oh, sorry. And then I got the Chargers. I'm tired. Okay.
No, I don't blame you.
12 straight hours. Then I got the Chiefs going 13-4.
Okay. Yeah. Look, I think that every team in the AFC West will be above 500. I'm really high on the Raiders. I really am. And I'm high on a lot of these teams in the AFC West. I think that we're going to see a very competitive Raider team, one that we haven't seen in quite some time. They're going to be really good defensively. They're going to run the shit out of the ball and throw to Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, and then every once in a while, Geno Smith will throw it deep. It'll be exciting football. And we're thinking that they should make the postseason. It's going to be a very disappointing end to the season because I do think the Raiders win 10 games. They go 10-7, but it's not enough to make the playoffs, which sucks. So I have the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Raiders all going 10-7, but unfortunately because of tiebreakers, the Broncos and Chargers get in and the Raiders do not, which will be a shitty end of the season. But it will just mean that you have something to look forward to next season. So, yeah, I have the Raiders in fourth place at 10-7, which will be fantastic for a fourth place schedule in 2026. I have the Chargers as your seventh seed in the AFC going 10-7. I have the Broncos in second place, but as your sixth seed going 10-7. And, yeah, once again, the Kansas City Chiefs win the division going 12-5. And they're your number 2 seed in the AFC.
That's crazy.
All right, then lastly, the NFC West, Steven.
All right. So I got the Cardinals and the Seahawks both going 8-9. I got the Seahawks in fourth, Cardinals in third. Then I got the Rams going 11-6, and I got the 49ers going 13-4.
Wow. So just based primarily on the schedule, or you think they're actually going to be a really solid team with the roster they have?
I think they're going to be really solid, but also on the schedule too. Like it's hard not to pick the 49ers, especially when just going game by game. At least on paper, they should. This is the thing: this might be my division predictions. This is what the team should go. This is what they should do. I don't know if they're going to.
No, yeah, I get that. All right, just as the AFC West was every team above 500, I got the same thing with the NFC West. I got the Arizona Cardinals in fourth place at 9-8. I have the Seattle Seahawks at 9-8 in third place. I mean, both teams, making making strides in the right direction, but not enough to make the postseason. I have the 49ers as your fifth seed in second place, going to the postseason once again with a 12-5 record, and tied with the Rams. I have the Rams winning the division by a tiebreaker. They sweep the Arizona Cardinals where the Niners won't, and they go 12-5, and they're your third seed in the NFC playoffs. So Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, Cardinals.
Wow.
And there you go. Those are our division winners. Real quick, Steven, let's go through the awards for the season. Who do you got as MVP?
I'm just going to keep on saying his name until he gets it, but I'm going Joey B. Joe Burrow. I think the Bengals have a good enough record. I think it's going to be a lot on Joe Burrow. He pretty much had an MVP-type season last year. But don't be surprised if Brock Purdy's up there in votes. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like a top 3 finalist, just based on my season's records and considering if they were to go 13-4, I think Brock Purdy would have to have not a perfect season, but he would have to return to that 2023. And I kind of put honorable mention Brock Purdy.
Yeah. This is where the YouTube chat will get on me, as they usually do, but I don't care. If the Packers are the number 1 seed, I got to believe that Jordan Love is the MVP. And I think that he's going to put up pretty good stats in this offense. A year ago where he was injured and more reliant on Josh Jacobs. Now he's got more receivers to play with and Matthew Golden. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up ridiculous numbers. I'm going with Jordan Love to be your MVP in 2025.
Of course you are.
Yep, I'm going to die on that hill. Who's your defensive, or your offensive player of the year? Is it the same as your MVP?
No, I mean, it's going to be if Joe Burrow's going to win MVP, I think he's going to be going to his number 1 receiver a lot. So I got Jamar Chase, and he's the betting favorite. So pretty obvious, I think, for that one.
All right, I'm going to go. I don't think Jordan Love wins offensive player of the year. I think that this guy could potentially not lead the league in rushing, but just lead the league in yards from scrimmage. And he may get 1,000. And he would only be like a handful, like a 5th running back to do that, whatever it is, 6th. I got Jahmyr Gibbs being your offensive player of the year with his ability to, run the ball and catch the ball. And I wouldn't be surprised if he leads the league in touchdowns this season.
Yeah.
All right, defensive player of the year, Steven.
I'm going to keep saying it with this one. And unfortunately, I think I took yours, but I think it's Crosby's year, man. I just do. Parsons is one of the betting favorites right now. I think Crosby's at like plus 1,300. There's good value on him. I would throw in a little bit of money on that if I was betting. But I understand there's the Myles Garretts and the TJ Watts and all of them, and they have a really good chance too. But I just think Max Crosby's just due if he stays healthy.
Yeah, this is the first of 3 Raiders winning awards for me. I have Max Crosby as your defensive player of the year. I think that he'll just play happy for the first time in a while, and he'll love playing with Pete Carroll, and he's just going to go off this season. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I have Max Crosby winning defensive player of the year as well. Offensive rookie of the year, I think we probably go the same direction here as well.
I'm not going to go Genty. I just
You're
think
not going to go Genty, okay.
I think they're going to make it about the quarterback. I think Cam Ward's going to do enough to win that award.
I think Genty just puts up ridiculous numbers as a rookie, maybe 1,300 yards, whatever it is, touchdown-wise, but it's going to be hard to ignore him for offensive rookie of the year. Mm-hmm. What do you got for defensive rookie of the year?
It's a boring pick, but it's Abdul Carter.
It's not bad. I'm going with Malachi Starks with Baltimore.
Wow, that's a reach.
I don't think so. You got to look at the guys that look as far as like good teams that drafted defensive players. Just could get a few picks. That's enough.
All right.
Who do you have as coach of the year?
Believe it or not, because of the results, this is a weird one, but I just think because of the turnover that's been with their coordinators and the reason that everyone thinks they're going to drop off a little bit this year. But I think if the Lions stay on the trajectory that I think they're going to, and they end up first in their division, I think Dan Campbell is good for coach of the year if they pan out the way that I think they're going to.
No, I like that. He's definitely been in contention for it the last few seasons. But yeah, given what's going on this season with the loss of Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, that's a good pick, Steven. I'm going with Pete Carroll. I think that going from 4 wins to 10 wins, and even if they don't make the postseason, that's enough for him to win that award. I think that Mike Vrabel will be in contention for it. I think Kyle Shanahan may be in contention for it, but in the end, Pete wins the award.
Yeah.
And lastly, comeback player of the year.
I'm gonna go with. I think it's just 2 players, and they're just because they're established. I think it's between Aiden Hutchinson and Christian McCaffrey, and I think it's gonna go to Hutch. Personally.
I do too. I think that McCaffrey has a solid season, but not enough where he's back to his original form. And I think that Aiden Hutchinson has the potential to be defensive player of the year, but yeah, he was on a tear until he didn't tear, but broke his leg. He had 4.5 sacks in a game against the Buccaneers. I think that Aiden Hutchinson brings the Lions defense back to where it was. And yeah, I think that he wins comeback player of the year. And there you go. Those are our picks for the award winners. All right, Steven, who do you have when it's all said and done going to the Super Bowl and winning it?
This is going to be fun. Where are we? Okay. So in the wild card round, I got the Texans beating the Steelers.
Okay.
I got the Bengals going into Arrowhead and beating the Chiefs.
Wow. Slaying the dragon early.
Uh-huh. And then I got the Bills beating the Chargers at home. Well, I got the Rams beating the Buccaneers on the road. I got Green Bay beating the 49ers in San Francisco because I think that's actually where Micah Parsons comes through. And then I got the Lions beating the Commanders in Detroit, getting revenge for last year. And then...
So the NFC Championship game is Packers Lions?
No, I'm in. That's the wild card round.
Oh, well, okay.
I'm in the divisional now.
Gotcha.
I got the Bills at home beating the Texans. The Ravens had the bye week. They were my 1 seed. I had them hosting the Bengals, and I got the Ravens getting by the Bengals. And then I got the Lions beating the Rams in Detroit. And then I got the Packers beating the Eagles in Philadelphia, even though the Eagles are on a bye week. They go to the link and they actually win. So the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship, I got the Ravens and the Bills for the AFC, and I got the Lions and the Packers for the NFC. Told you it's tasty.
I do like this.
And then I got the Ravens beating the Bills, revenge for last year, and I got the Lions going to the Super Bowl. And ultimately, with the Ravens and the Lions playing in Levi's Stadium, it's Baltimore.
Baltimore wins it?
Baltimore.
Alrighty. I think a lot of people are picking Baltimore this year. For my playoff starting with the wild card, I have the Bengals beating the Texans in Houston. Ooh. I have the Ravens beating the Broncos in Baltimore. I have the Chiefs and Chargers playing each other in the wild card round and the Chiefs advancing. I have the 49ers beating the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. I have the Rams beating the Commanders in LA. And I have the Eagles and Lions facing off in the wild card round, which is a juicy one. But the Eagles advance, and the Lions' season is cut short that quickly in the wild card round. Then in divisional round, we have Mahomes playing Lamar, and we have Josh Allen playing Joe Burrow.
Wow.
I have Patrick Mahomes beating Lamar Jackson once again to go to the AFC Championship game, and I have Josh Allen exercising his demons part 1 by beating Joe Burrow and the Bengals. So it's Bills and Chiefs in the AFC Championship game once again. And then it's Eagles and Rams, a rematch of last year's. Eagles still win. They go to the NFC Championship game once again. And just like you, I have the Packers and 49ers at Lambeau, but this time, the first time, or not the first time, but one of the first times that the Packers advanced past the 49ers and Aaron Rodgers isn't involved. I have Jordan Love and the Packers beating the 49ers. Take that, chat.
Wow.
And then we have the conference championship games, and finally, the Bills fucking beat the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl. And I have the Packers beating the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. And your Super Bowl at Levi's, Super Bowl 60, is the Bills and Packers. This is where the Jordan Love Fest ends. The Bills win the Super Bowl.
Wow. You really have the Bills, huh?
You got to believe. And I think I've done this every single season since we've been doing this podcast where I pick the Bills. So keep doing it.
Okay. All right. Perseverance, man. I get it.
And there you go. And that is your 2025 NFL season predictions.
Wow.
We got through it, Steven. 2 hours and 12 minutes later, we're done. All right, everybody. That's going to be it for today. Steven's tired. Wednesday good?
Yeah.
And we'll be on a little earlier because the Giants play early that day. I think at 5:40ish. So I'll hop on a little early here. We'll get you the time.
Probably what time are we talking here? I got a doctor's appointment that day.
During the day.
Well, at 4:15.
Oh yeah, dude. It won't be that early. We'll do like 6:45, 7.
All right.
Okay, cool. And we'll pick the Thursday night game and the Friday night game, and we may have a Cowboy fan hop on to talk about how he feels about Micah Parsons leaving.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see about that one. All right, everybody. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Alon for joining us and being in the chat after the fact. Thank you, Alon, for being a true fan and host. Thanks to Tommy Call for jumping on with us, too. It's always fun to have our friends from back in the day at 95.7 come on with us. To Otis Bird, to Pat H., to AJ Cruz, to Rocka New Era, to Ernie One, and I believe that is it. I didn't see any Tacky. Didn't see Lauren F. Skills report. I always forget skills. My bad, dude. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday. Steven, say what you always say.
just our opinion, man.